Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout, number 410. Yeah, this week in the Red Pill Part 2. Man, oh man, it was a busy week, and I suspect it's probably going to be quite a bit of it because we're almost into December now, and we're still. It's not slowing down at all. I'm hoping that things kind of chill out over Christmas so that we don't have to end up covering too many stories over the holidays. But who knows? So, for those of you who don't know, I am the Roki5, your host, and well, I'll skip the sane part. People will quite argue that I'm quite insane, but you know what? Why suffer from insanity when you can enjoy every minute of it? And that's exactly what I'm doing. With me tonight, and we'll just go into the introductions here. With me tonight has been my long-term partner in crime, who graciously came in because this is more or less the 7th anniversary episode, part 2. Yeah, we'll see how long we can go without having the no standards part being dropped on us here. But yeah, Rearson, introduce yourself.
I aim to displease, and knowing this show shouldn't take long, and we'll see. So, yeah, you're right. Pretty much by extension. Hey, what's one more day? I'll come in, not a problem. I'm looking forward to this one too. So, let the good times roll, as the Cars would say. Back to you.
All right, and of course, regular appearer V. Introduce yourself.
Yeah. They call me General Governside, Asian Fed Killer. What else? Belial. They call me Astro Black. I don't know. I got more names than the devil. I am the host. I'm the host of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, which, if I could ever get my computer set up going the way I want it, I will be restarting my show, coming out of hiatus. So everybody be looking forward to that. Also, I've got a show I'm doing with Roger Landry from TLB, Liberty Beacon Media Project. Okay, we're gonna have because we just bought Shake and Wake Radio, and so we're gonna be doing our thing. So everybody, looking forward to this new content, this new stuff. I have so much new content planned, and it's gonna blow minds. And if you can hear that right now, that's our little fat wiener dog. We call her Fancy. And there's another one called Asterisk. She has a underbite. She has human teeth. I'm going to send a picture of her to you guys later. It's hilarious. So you might hear them in the background in this episode. I do apologize.
That's right. No snacks for any of us tonight. No snacks. All right, Roger, you're up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. We're just ignoring you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because like my computer's messing up. It's rendering stuff on Blender right now, so it's kind of acting weird. But my name's Roger Hansen. I do Wonderful World of Weirdness, which I keep forgetting to mention. You can find me on you can find me on Skype and Discord. I do have an account on minds.com, but I'm rarely ever there. You can check me out there if you want to. And I also have stuff on X too. So that's under RajLOL1973. If you guys are interested in hooking up with me on there, you can. And other than that, well, I got other channels too, but I don't want to get into that. So that's all I got.
Okay, yeah, for those of you who don't know, in terms of number of subs I've got on them, I am at BitChute. And yeah, I added like 7 subs in the past 24 hours on Rumble. So Rumble is now the second largest sub channel I've got. MGTOW TV, Odyssey, Brighteon, and of course, and it will probably, well, I mean, you know, I don't really care if people come and go from YouTube or not, but yeah, I've actually got like 35, something like that on YouTube right now. I really don't care. I am also at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, Getter, TLB Talks, and that is pretty much it. There is no site news. This is the 7th anniversary episode, part 2. I will note I did a little bit more diving into what 7 years means. It seems to have a lot of astrological significance in terms of cycles, and I was never really that big into astrology. If Rearson wants to dust off his astrology books and give a little bit more detail on what 7 years means, he's more than welcome to it. But for now, that is it. So the topics for tonight, and yeah, just giving you a heads up, this is a very Elon Musk heavy show. Topic number 1 is corporate insanity, which consists of Wizards of the Coast going full woke. Wow. I'm just gobsmacked what happened. And of course, the Jaguar. Jaguar manages to perform a Bud Light 2 with insane woke commercial. Have you guys seen this commercial?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God.
No.
Cringe. Just absolute cringe. Topic number 2, Elon Musk is possibly in consideration to buy both Disney and MSNBC. And yeah, things actually got seriously heated in the past 24 hours around that one. Topic number 3, mayors in Boston and Denver openly declare resistance when mass deportations start to occur. Topic number 4, the Curious Ellen Degeneres P. Diddy connection as she leaves the U.S. And I have Anne Heche in brackets because there's a very curious coincidence between how Anne Heche died and how some of the people who wrote books on P. Diddy also died. Topic number 5, media breakdown. CNN has told to back off on Trump rhetoric. And this kind of ties into topic number 6. Revenue for woke streamers on Twitch, seeing the revenue drop by 95% in some cases. So yeah, there's a lot. I'm going to just say, if I was going to theme up, and I did try to theme this up, it's looking like the carefully constructed illusion that the woke, I'm just going to say the BlackRock Mafia had been trying, HRC and ESG and DEI and all the wokesters have tried to, that the spell that they were trying to weave to make everybody think that they were the majority and that they were actually in power. And they again, I'm not going to, I will freely confess this. I think there were people inside the Biden administration that were probably secretly propping this up, but it's looking like it's starting to fall apart. At least that's how it seems to me. Now, I already gave you the site news. This is part 2. This is this week. It's 7th anniversary part 2. Yeah, it was just that kind of a week. But yeah, let's just get right into it tonight. So this one, again, gaming itself, like as in particular Dungeons and Dragons, but some of the other gaming systems, has a woke problem that is on, just like comics, just as never. Hold on a second. That is, it's a lot of people know about it, but it's not as well known as what's going on with Sweet Baby. By the way, the gaming industry, the gaming crowd is like much like the mainstream media. A lot of the people are turning on the wokesters in the gaming community because they now know that basically the illusion is down. Wizards of the Coast. For those of you who don't remember, Wizards of the Coast was the community that, rather than deal with pedophiles showing up at Magic the Gathering tournaments and having access to early teenage boys and preteen, basically tween boys, rather than doing something about that, because this is where Jeremy Hembling from the Quartering got his start, was in this particular crowd. They chose to evict Jeremy Hembling from the Magic the Gathering community, which of course resulted in a backlash to the point where Hasbro had to literally step in and force Wizards of the Coast to actually enforce some standards, which sound absolutely insane that they weren't doing this right from the start. And the fact that they fiercely resisted doing this was just absolutely left me kind of gobsmacked. But no, they actually had to be forced to, at their official tournaments and whatever, go and actually had to go and say, yeah, you have to pass a criminal check before you have access to basically tween boys, because there had been more than a few cases of pedophiles showing up at these teams as referees and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was Wizards of the Coast. They also bought Dungeons and Dragons, and they finally took it a little bit too. They took it a little bit too far this time, because they came out with this book called The Making of the Original Dungeons and Dragons, and this was where they absolutely trashed Gary Gygax. Now, I have to point something out here, because Gary Gygax did actually get booted from TSR at one point. And I remember there was one guy in particular, and I was living in Vancouver at the time that Gygax got booted from TSR. He was actually quite angry with Gary Gygax. And, well, Gygax took some liberties, and this is something that got pointed out in the making of of the book, The Making of the Original Dungeons and Dragons, but it was twisted. Gygax would borrow from what you call mythos and even like copyrighted material. Like, for instance, there is a Legends and Lore, Deities and Demigods book, if you can find it. It was around in the 80s, but there's a Deities and Demigods version of the first edition of AD&D that has characters like Elric in it, that has the Cthulhu mythos in it, that has Neowon in it, that has Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser in it. Yeah, there was a lot of copywritten material, which almost, like, there were lawsuits were threatened. Gary Gygax was not politely shown the door. And I've talked to this one guy about him, and yeah, Gary Gygax was not a perfect human being. He had some rather sleazy business practices. That being said, he was one of the founders of AD&D and Dungeons and Dragons, and the way this book was written, they made, well, first of all, Gary Gygax is a white heterosexual male, so he's automatically with this new woke Seattle fucking crowd that's currently running. And by the way, I've seen photos of this group. Like, you're seeing. I'm seeing a lot of future cat ladies with blue hair in employee photos. I'm also seeing boys who might just die because their testosterone drops below 1. Yeah, it they took what happened, and they absolutely trashed Gary Gygax and some of the original founders, and it was like, and they tried to make it sound like, oh, well, slavery was legitimized. And it was like, well, when the original Dungeons and Dragons came out, first of all, you couldn't play a slaver. And I'm pretty sure at least all of us here played Dungeons and Dragons at one point in time or another. There was also, but I mean, you were never able to play, but slavery was a part of the world that existed. I mean, I got to point out that Dune, the world of Dune, that's currently making a bit of a comeback here because of the movies that are actually not too bad. Dune has got extensive slavery in it. They've also got a lot of religious intolerance in it and whatever, but I'm kind of getting diverting from course here. They twisted that around, and they said, well, he had worlds with slavery in them, and the world of Greyhawk, and was like, you're gonna love this one. The Drow elves. They suggested that because the Drow elves were black, and that Loth was a chaotic evil head of the Dark Elves who had black skin, that somehow was racist and misogynist, and that Gygax had done it on purpose. No, I wish I was...
Oh, come on. It's a matriarchal society. All of those soy boys should be perfectly happy with some black bitch ready to crack the whip. They're sorry white asses.
I wish I was.
You can't have it both ways, boys. Sorry.
Oh my God! I wish I was making that up, but I'm not. They also said, well, they reduced various god pantheons, including the Indian pantheon, into like stats for the game, right? And it was like, well, how dare they desecrate Indian and Norse and all of these religions in Native American religions by giving gods stats, right? And then as like in Monsters, even though, and I can remember this because you remember Mike back in Lake Louise, right, Steve? Right, Rearson? Yeah. He was
Mr. Killer DM. You're level 2. Guess what? Hey, the Great Scarlet Brotherhood is all over your ass just because. All these players out there in Seattle with their little 2-inch penises.
Oh my God! I will relate a story about good old Mike. Second level character, and somehow he had me stumble into a meeting where I was. All of these characters were high level, and for some strange reason, in Mike's head, it seemed perfectly legit for me to go out as a second level character and go out and fight a 9th level dark elf. Because all of the other characters in this group were like high level, and I just kind of stumbled into it. It's like, yeah, that was Mike for you, yeah. Level 5, and he had me fighting Orcus. Like, wow. And I mean, I got really pissed off at him at one point. I said, it's like, yeah, dude, like, stop fucking sending me off on one-way missions and like listening to the word fucking salad that he gave me for why he was doing it.
I would have left at that point. I mean, it was bad enough. But my one run-in with him, it was 2nd edition, and I was playing a thief. There were 4 of us. I was the thief, a swashbuckler, and basically with a swashbuckler, when it came out with 2nd edition with that handbook, it's either you find trouble or it finds you. So I found trouble, which I did really well, and it was just one of those cases of kind of going, like, seriously, dude, like, what the fuck? We want to have fun. So I don't know what happened to him in the Canadian military, but he got shat on, and it's been with them ever since.
I don't know what happened either. Even when I was playing with him, he would go out of his way to screw over his fellow players. Like, I would remember, I was like, I even was worshiping the same god, and we both took clerics, and that was a big mistake. But I mean, I took a cleric that was worshipped the same god as he was, and he still started fucking with me. Anyway, yeah.
Memories of Lake Louise, or shall we say Lake Disease?
Yeah. That's a trip down memory lane, folks. But yeah, so yeah, it was just awful and disgusting. So a couple of people got a hold of it, and I'm guessing Elon Musk was a player of Dungeons and Dragons, which probably shouldn't come as all that big of a surprise, knowing a little bit about what Elon Musk's past was when he was a university student at Queen's. It's not that big of a surprise that he would be a bit of a Dungeons and Dragons player. Yeah, Elon had more than a few harsh words to say to TSR and Wizards of the Coast for what they did to Gary, and specifically to Gary Gygax. His daughter came out this morning and attempted to defend him, and unfortunately she's not what you call net active, and she doesn't know what SJWs are like. And she did an okay job, but unfortunately she left an opening for SJWs to pounce on, and they did. So her defense of her dad actually came off. She should have just kept her mouth shut, is what she probably should have done, or gone to a lawyer or consulted with somebody. But yeah, when I first came to where I'm living now, I had to leave all of my books in a storage unit down in Vancouver, and I could never quite get around to retrieving them, and I eventually lost that entire book collection, which included the Encyclopedia Magica, all the players' handbooks. I had a fairly extensive collection. That still stings, by the way. But yeah, I'm not really even sure if I want to and I stopped playing D&D a lot after I left Banff.
Oh, come on. Memories of Taxburg. Oh, it was so much fun. God, it's like you were perfect working for the government, especially in Canada. Nickel diming us to death at every fucking opportunity. Screw you!
Oh, you love
again, folks, a trip down memory lane. Fuck me.
Oh, the city of Freiburg.
Oh yeah, it's free to get taxed to death.
Okay, yeah, we got 2 other people on the show. They might actually want to say something at some point, but yeah, I just stopped. I just more or less stopped playing after I left Banff, and I took the books and everything with me. I meant to get back into it, but it's like, I just haven't got the time. I mean, and what's really gone on basically in the past, probably in the last 5 or 10 years or so, is that Warhammer has kind of supplanted Dungeons and Dragons as my game system of choice. More the lore than the actual game itself, but that's just kind of what happened to me. Now, the other part on this is Jaguar, and I get none of you guys have seen the commercial. Have you?
All right, here we go. A jaguar prowling through the dense jungle, muscles ripping with raw power, when suddenly a Jaguar F-Type roars into frame, tearing through the jungle like a hurricane.
Okay, so picture this. A James Bond type character is behind the wheel of a brand new, luxurious Jaguar. He's speeding down a cobblestone street.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry I'm late, guys. Prior traffic, the men were just, delish. Okay, anyway, let's just follow me, okay? To hell with the car. We don't even show a car, and not even a Jaguar. That's so freaking cliche.
Wait. We have to show the car.
No. You have to shut up and let me cook. Anyway, moving on. I just think we just show random people. Like, guys, is it a girl? Is it a robot? I don't know. Colors, pastels. I want people to have to Google what the hell this car looks like, okay? I want people just to know one thing, that we're loud and we're proud.
But we're a car company.
I just want one piece of advice for you. Shirt, dress, tacky. Just, when I saw you, I almost vomited. Okay, but anyway, let me just show you what I'm talking about, okay? Roll it. So, do you like it?
No.
I love it! Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so happy you liked it.
Wait.
Huh?
I know just the person to lead this.
Who?
Dylan Mulvaney!
I love her, Dad! I love her!
By the way, are you new here?
No, I was just dropping off nuggets on Uber Eats for Jennifer. I just saw the door open. I just said to hell with it.
Welcome to the team.
At Jaguar, we're passionate about our people, and we're committed to fostering a diverse, inclusive, and unified culture that is representative not only of the people who use our products, but in a society in which we all live. A culture where our employees can bring their authentic selves to work. And we're on a transformative journey of our own. We've established over 15 DEI groups, such as Pride, who are here tonight in the back. Thank you guys for coming.
That sounds like 7 people.
Engineering and neurodiversity matters.
Dude, you're supposed to sell cars. That's your job. Do you think you're selling more jobs with your shirtless, whatever that thing you're wearing right there? Did you solve that? If I'm an investor in Jaguar, I want to know, are you selling more cars? How many more cars did you sell with that transgender ad of yours? Did it work? Or are people returning their cars? That's all I care about. I don't care about all this other DI stuff that you're doing.
your gerbil. Sorry. So, as Anheuser-Busch has learned, one bad ad can really mess up your whole year. That company put a transgender person's face on a can of Bud Light, and their stock crashed. Turns out most guys don't want to mix cheap beer and chicks with and they also don't want to be told that they're bigots for feeling that way. But what about a more upscale brand, like, say, luxury cars? Jaguar just unveiled a new ad campaign, and it's got everyone talking when they aren't actually puking. And yes, the obvious point will be made, if they're talking about it, then it worked, right? I mean, Alec Baldwin had everyone talking about Rust. Not sure that sold movie tickets. Roll it, Jurgen.
Is this a circus?
What the hell was that? Was that a lineup of all the previous Biden-Harris cabinet picks? It's weird. It's like Toucan Sam followed his nose into a huge pile of cocaine. It looked more like a Cudlow hot tub party than a car ad. And look, if I want to see unattractive men in heavy makeup, I'll watch Jesse Waters Primetime. And what's with the slogans? Create exuberant? Was that translated from Fabio's dating profile? Live vivid? Sounds like something the handsy drama teacher wrote in everyone's yearbook. Copy nothing. Sounds like the Asian kid I sat next to in algebra right before every test. But I haven't seen that many empty slogans since Kamala lost. Of course, all that was missing in the ad was a car. Now, on one level, the ad agency did its job. It made a splash on social media. But then again, if I took a giant dump on a plate of mashed potatoes and put it online, I'm pretty sure that would cause a splash too. Which is the point. The people Jaguar is appeasing is on social media, which I guess are gay Martian carnival freaks who don't buy Jaguars. But as one Jaguar exec said, the goal is to make you feel uncomfortable. You did it. But hey, if I want to be uncomfortable, I'll go to Brit Hume's annual massage weekend in Sag Harbor. Not invited, huh? If you want to cause distress, you could have saved a whole bunch of money and just showed Joe Biden eating a baby.
Brett Hume massage party. Wow.
Now, a lot of people assume Jaguar has gone woke. Well, thanks for the connecting the dots, Matlock. Last month, Jaguar took part in a Attitude Awards, which honored gay icons like Elton John and people who aren't Elton John. Jaguar's head of brand strategy, a BLM supporting designer, spoke at the event. Watch.
At Jaguar, we're passionate about our people, and we're committed to fostering a diverse, inclusive, and unified culture. And we're on a transformative journey of our own, driven by a belief in diversity, inclusion, creativity, policy, and most importantly, action. We've established over 15 DEI groups. We've launched major policy revisions, such as transitioning at work, to drive equity and support for our communities, embracing individuality as our superpower.
Oh, shut the f*** up. It's a car company, for Christ's sake, not Drag Queen Story Hour. How about telling me how many friggin' cup holders it has? He used more woke buzzwords than Joy Reid saying grace on Thanksgiving. Diverse, inclusive, unified culture. I can't believe Biden didn't put him in charge of nuclear waste. And he boasted that Jaguar has 15 DEI groups. Now, the last time I checked Pornhub, there aren't that many races. But it's not just one DEI group, it's 15, which is evidence of the parasitic consequences of a competing but non-profit-making goal. And none of them participate in the company's mission, which is to make a great car that turns a profit. Instead, with its own competing goal, which is self-preservation, it only grows like a cancer within every company it inhabits. I'm willing to bet at Jaguar there are more DEI administrators than car designers. I can't wait to see what the car looks like. Want to bet it's an automatic, but identifies as a stick?
The Jag commercial.
I haven't, but I will take a look. But I mean, the damage is already done. I mean, the guy is as flaming gay as possible, I suppose.
Oh my God. So yeah, a car commercial that has absolutely nothing to do with selling cars. Racist because there's like, it was all about diversity and color and whatnot, but they had one, and I mean, again, just because of what's gone on, right? It's like, I like to say I don't see color, but I mean, there's been so much, in particular, anti-white racism in the past few years. It's like, you just can't help but notice it, especially when it comes to commercials. And the commercial had nothing to do with selling cars. They actually found a video of the head of marketing for Jaguar, and I was listening. This guy, this dude had probably the most effeminate, this guy looks like he gets his soy in IV form when he gets up in the morning. He had one of the most effeminate voices I had. And I mean, if you thought the CEO of Harley Davidson was over the top for saying that he was Taliban for ESG, you haven't heard anything. If you listen to this guy, and I'll have to find it here, the whole thing is just cringe as fuck. They're not even, here's the thing, right? They're not even debuting Jaguar at an auto show. They're going to be debuting the new Jaguar cars at an arts show in Miami. And the plan is for Jaguar, they're going to completely phase out gas-powered automobiles. Their stock value has already taken a hit. I'm fully expecting that the BlackRock Mafia is probably already attempting to run in and give Jaguar an infusion of cash.
No,
they haven't.
No. They're owned by Tuda Motors, which is India.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Tuda is basically over 70% of Tuda is owned by Tuda Motors, or some. The usual trifecta is actually not there for once.
That's strange. Okay, so then again, this guy's just indoctrinated, and the whole company, at least the advertising department, appears to be completely indoctrinated, because it's like, yeah, they just pulled Bud Light Part 2 to Bud Light 2.0, and they don't have anywhere near the sales base that Bud Light has, and it's gonna be funny to see what their sales are going to be like in the next 12 months, because it's not good. Because, this commercial, and you remember what Jaguar was like. Jaguar was like an alpha male, car, right? James Bond drove a couple of Jaguars at one point, and it's like, wow. I I literally, I saw that ad and I'm like going, oh boy. Bud Light, yeah, Bud Light 2.0 is what I would call it. But with that though, yeah, there's a lot to discuss when it comes to Wizards of the Coast and our D&D experiences like Taxburg. But yeah, we got a couple of other people on the show and we need to hear from them. So I'm going to yield my time to Roger.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I've been bringing up whenever you always talk about Warhammer, because if people really think about it, there has to be something going on when it comes to a lot of this woke stuff, and I'll guarantee you that a lot of it has to do with Wizards of the Coast, because for one thing, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, and they've got their fingers into a lot of things that people aren't even aware of. They kind of do things under the freaking radar, and they seem to get away with it a lot more than what a lot of the other companies like Walt Disney World and everything does. And
sorry, I don't mean to jump in here, but I've seen a couple of videos on Hasbro. Hasbro is getting sued because apparently there's cases like all of those secondhand stores that buy all of those toys that don't sell. They produce so many toys from bad movie franchises that even those stores can't buy the toys anymore because they haven't got the room for them, and they're getting sued over it. Continue.
And that's just one case of it all, too. They've gotten their fingers involved with Magic the Gathering. And just so people know, like, Magic the Gathering has a lot of things going from board games all the way to collectible card games. They have miniature games. They've also got online games. They even have the role-playing games with all the supplements and stuff. So they've got their fingers in all of this stuff. And then, like, what is it? I had a list here. I can pull some of them up, but they actually have even Xena, Warrior Princess, dude. Okay, and you were just talking about Dune. They have their hands into Dune as well. I believe that's just the collectible card games, though, and as well as that, they have freaking Hercules. This is all besides Magic the Gathering, all right? Then they have Star Wars, the trading card game. Let's see, here we go. They also have Dungeons and Dragons miniature games, and they've also got Dungeons and Dragons, the role-playing games. Then of course they've got the Gathering Online and Duels and the Gathering Arena, and I've played those too. I really don't like getting into the other ones. The Gathering Online was an interesting story because, like, every time they try to make that into an online game, for some reason it gets put up and then it gets taken back down. And like on Steam, if you go and you get it when it's available, then what happens is, like, maybe 8 months from that date, all of a sudden it's discontinued, and you still get your game, and people who are on the thing can still play, but nobody else can get it. You know what I mean? So you're kind of locked into playing the same card game with everybody, and it seems weird why they're doing that. That doesn't make sense, and they do it all the time, over and over again. They put it on Steam. They've had a phone app for it, everything, and they just shut it down, and then they'll start it back up and do it again. It's 2015 is the one they're real notorious for, but they have that, and then, like I said, they've got the Dungeons and Dragons. They've also got Star Wars the Star Wars role-playing game, and they've for fantasy novel series, they've got Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms. Now, if nobody's aware of what Forgotten Realms is, that's like D&D on freaking crack cocaine. All right. That's basically what that's all about. So not only do they have D&D, but they've got Forgotten Realms on top of it, and Dragonlance by itself is just, it's a legend. And they've also got Ravenloft and Planescape. And Planescape is another one.
You know, I'm surprised they haven't tried to make a trilogy out of, or a 6-series film out of Dragonlance, because that one does lend itself to filmmaking very easy. Continue.
Yeah, and it's also got a lot of books to go with it too. Dragonlance is huge. It's got a big following. So the thing is man, they've got their fingers in all of this stuff. And for me, I started playing D&D back with the 2nd edition, and I remember when they came out with the 3rd edition. And everybody was fine with that, but then they came out with 3.5, and that's when they took Thaco away from the game, and that pissed a lot of people off back then. So I was one of those people who said, you know what, I'm okay with it as long as I can play the game. So I kept sticking to it, but a lot of my friends bailed after that, and 3.5 was fine for me, but then they started going on to the 4th and then the 5th edition, and from 3.5 all the way up to the 5th edition, man, it just turned to shit. That game isn't even worth freaking playing today. That's how dumbed down they've made it. They made it to where any freaking idiot could freaking pick up a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition and play the game and not have any problems with it.
Oh, so we're talking about the Seattle crowd then. Just saying.
Pretty much anybody on the West Coast can play it. You know, that's the thing that is so annoying to me. And then what they said is that they want to streamline it, okay? And streamline is code word for freaking dummying it down, making it an idiot idiot's guide to freaking Dungeons and Dragons is basically what it is. And there's absolutely no real good mechanics behind all of it. Some of the stories are interesting in Forgotten Realms, but the rest of it is just horrible. It's just crazy, you know. Now, the thing that really got me is after I took a break from it, because I started doing other role-playing games like White Wolf. I was really big on that, and some other games, but I'm not going to mention them at the moment because I'm focusing on Dungeons and Dragons, you know. But I took a break from it, and I came back to it, and I started finding out about them having their deals with... See, back in the day, man, they had an open game license, and it allowed people to take freaking and make their own stories and their own freaking mechanics and everything and put it together. But they had to go according to certain rules so that they didn't break it, you know, to where they weren't freaking infringing on D&D's rights, you know, which I thought was fair. Yeah, I mean, that was. But then they came out with this new open games license draft that they wanted to put out, where it was going to take away everybody's rights to create their own games with their own mechanics according to the storyline. Then they started getting into this thing where it had to be canon. Everybody starts, well, that's not canon, and they started calling everybody's games that they created on their own homebrew. And that freaking irked me, because that's not how D&D or any role-playing game ever started. You know, I remember my first game, I had 2 freaking 6-sided dice, and we told a freaking story, and we rolled those dice to see if we freaking got a kill shot, or if we barely wounded them or missed them, you know what I mean? And that's how we did it. And we didn't know anything about the freaking mechanics with the dice or anything, but that's how I started. And that was a long time ago. This was before they even had freaking the bigger dice. You know, I mean, they've got freaking like 8, 12-sided dice and all that shit today. I mean, we didn't have that back when I started. So I started hearing all this shit about freaking homebrew this and homebrew that, and it's got to be canon. It's got to be canon. And I freaking was like, dude, are you fucking serious? You honestly think that it's not a game because it didn't come out of the freaking book? You know what I mean? That is so stupid. And then they started taking it even farther. Now they're freaking making it to where they don't even want people, or they started pushing it. They started stepping back from it, but they didn't want people posting any kind of content on the internet that freaking had anything to do with D&D. If they did, they could get hit. They wanted people to get hit with copyright laws that they claimed was infringing on their freaking copyright rights. And that was what really sent everybody over the edge on that. They started boycotting them, and they also freaking ended up having a leak that came out that one of the big freaking game masters had that he had gotten, and apparently from what I heard is it was actually delivered to his house. And they had freaking Pinkerton, freaking agents busting into his freaking house, causing a scene, demanding that he gave up these freaking these cards for Magic the Gathering, and it caused a problem with him and his freaking neighbors who were elderly, and it almost got him freaking to where he was put in jail over it. The guy they busted into his house, and that caused a boycott. And that's all behind the scenes. That's the stuff that people aren't even hearing. Like, everybody's hearing the stuff about the freaking, the racism and the wokeness and stuff. But this is the shit the freaking Wizard of the Coast is pulling. Here recently, they've started doing this thing where they're removing cards from their database because it depicts things that were offensive or it insinuated racism, and the thing that gets me about that is like, freaking, you can't play freaking role-playing game where freaking you like orcs or orcs are freaking good. Humans are supposed to hate freaking orcs. I'm sorry, but I'm racist when it comes to orcs. Fucking orcs must die. You see, that's the way the game is played. I don't freaking put out my hand and try to extend friendship to them, you know what I mean? Because that's not the way the orcs were set up. Orcs run around mating with one another. They don't care if they mate with themselves or they mate with freaking any other race. The only ones they don't mate with is freaking elves because they're mortal enemies. They would rather kill a freaking elf than mate with it or even eat it as food. So those are the rules. That's the way it's set down. You have the orcs and then you have the elves, and that's the way the whole mechanics are supposed to be set up. And these people want to come in with their woke ideas and they want to say, we need to just hush this down and make it more politically correct, create a safe space for everybody, and that's just ridiculous. They also attacked one of my favorite games that I like when it comes to D&D, and that one was freaking Arabian Nights. Now that had the cool shit with the genies and stuff like that. I can't remember if it was Forgotten Realms. It might have been Forgotten Realms that one was in, but those were the fun games because you got
Al-Qadim. That was the one you're talking about, Al-Qadim.
Yeah, that's it, Al-Qadim. That they attacked that one, and freaking no, Arabian Nights was Magic the Gathering. They actually attacked them too. That because it was the card game for Magic the Gathering they went after, and then Al-Qadim was the one in Forgotten Realms. And they started saying that what it was is they were freaking making insinuations against the Arab or the Asian population about jihad and the Crusades and stuff like that, and stone throwing devils and just stupid shit, like.
Well, just don't be a lesbian. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, maybe they'll find out in Seattle sooner rather than later.
Oh, it's not just Seattle. That's the whole messed up part about it. It's everywhere, and these people have infiltrated all of these other freaking these other businesses through that. And I really believe, and see, this stuff has been going on for quite a long time. This is before everybody started yelling woke and safe spaces and all this shit. These people have been doing this stuff for well over 15 years, at least 15, 20 years. And they've been slowly getting more and more popular, more and more powerful. And you can see it in Magic the Gathering especially. That's where it really, really got hit hard first. And it just spread from there, and now all of a sudden we're having issues with Walt Disney. We're having issues with freaking, Star Wars comic books. And I really believe that this is where it all stemmed from. So I think I've talked enough, so I'm going to go ahead and pass. I think I've done enough babbling.
V, you're up.
He fell asleep. I did listen to all that
Dog
boring.
fall asleep.
Listen to all that boring
No,
shit.
I've been up. Been up for a while. These dogs keep me awake.
Oh, by the way, you totally forgot to talk about Jaguar, but yeah, the whole thing with D&D is big enough all by itself.
Jaguar is just gay. I mean, I don't even really want to talk about Jaguar.
Oh, it's so gay right now. Just flaming
Now,
gay.
is that Reardon or Rearson?
No. Oh, now
Well,
who's got the lame jokes?
It's not spelled R-E-A-R. R-H-I-R.
Hi, I'm Mr. Superthorn. This is my new Jaguar Penis Mobile 2025. Oh, and I'm not obsessing about Donald Trump and using Orange Man Bad by the Gala. I drive the new Jaguar Penis Mobile. Rawr!
Over.
No standards, folks. No freaking standards.
Well, if I was really concerned about monetization on YouTube, we would have lost it by now. Okay, V, yeah, kid, you're up.
I don't have to stand in the middle of the circle jerk, do I?
It's
well,
no bringing pictures of Lizzo in a bathing suit either, you perv.
Oh man, that's
she's
nasty.
got
shit.
She's got some twerk videos. Oh my god.
Oh.
That girl's bad. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, you're right.
Oh.
It makes most men as hard as a wet noodle.
She's got my soldier at full attention.
Except you.
Patriotic, saluting there, everything. Anyways, yeah. No, I wanna touch on that. The whole dark skin thing and being evil, because that's something that, thank God, is finally being addressed at a level. I'm not quite sure it's at a mature enough level yet, but it's just something that should be addressed, because in the white Caucasian culture, anything that is dark or black is bad or evil. And it's just, I don't know. As black people, we don't say anything. is very demeaning to us. Well, typically we don't say anything. We just let it slide because it's just one of those things. Oh, V, you're cruel. You have a black heart. Yeah. I got a black heart, and you know.
Well, technically, it's red. Just leave it at that.
Oh. So it's like I even catch myself doing it sometimes. It's something I've consciously had to break myself from doing over the years, over my life. You know, it's like, oh, you know, my friend's got a crappy attitude. You know, I'll say, hey, what's with the dark attitude? I was like, oh, whoa. It's like I just blasphemed against myself there for a second. Yeah. Like, wait, you know, so it's kind of one of those things I think should be sort of weeded out. You know, it culturally, it's insensitive. It's definitely incorrect. You know, Howard Pike said, Lucifer may be God, but so is Adonai. And so if you really get deep into the terminology, Adonai is the darkness. Black, the void, that's God. Okay? Ein Sofer. From the void, from darkness, came light. So I think it's kind of one of those things too that's subliminal. It's just lying underneath. And I think it's kind of why some white people just hate black people. And you know, you can ask them, you know, oh, I don't have a real reason. I just don't. It's just like, well, if it's something that someone focuses on, you know, as a naturally opposing sort of a issue, just because of the polarity, you know, the contrast, the opposite, whatever. I mean, people will dislike things that are opposite of things they do like, which is, you know, that's fine. That's at least your own. But the terminology, the nomenclature, all these descriptive words that applies to one group of people and not another, and then it's equated to things that just aren't. It's not realistic, and that should go away. So I guess I'm Lucius Leftfoot here. I'm playing devil's advocate, but I definitely agree with those people. So anyhow, there's my unpopular opinion. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you're free to disagree. I'm definitely not gonna agree with you on that one. Rearson.
Well, not once ever. When I read the Drizzt Do'Urden trilogy or series of books or anything to do with them, never once did I ever equate it to being a black guy. Not once. But I suppose that's just me being able to separate myself that elves are a completely different race with anything else, but we'll leave that one alone. Anyway, these fucking wokesters are everywhere, and I think that society has hit, if it hasn't hit it yet, it will hit that threshold where, much like with the Canadian Trekker convoy, enough's enough. And I mean, I've seen enough recently with all these videos of the wokesters getting trashed and thrashed because of the election, and I think that that's basically. I think that we're. Oh Jesus, man, fucking Joseph! I think we're at that tipping point now where it's the pushback's going to be. It's going to be finally seen and heard and felt. I did take a look at that car commercial, and I would have thought it would have been something about a line of clothing, or it's some flaming gay commercial of some sort or another, but there's no substance to it. Although couldn't help but notice the Erase the Ordinary or whatever it was with the white paint. I'm just kind of going, well, if there was ever a reason I would never want to buy a Jaguar, it's certainly not that. I mean, shit. I remember the old Equalizer TV show way back when, Edward Woodward. And he had a Jaguar, and that made me want to actually consider getting a Jag. Now, fuck no. Hell no. If I had the money, I could think of better things to spend it on. And especially in terms of a vehicle. So, I'll let Jaguar do whatever it's going to do, because Lord knows they're not going to listen to us anyway. And by the time that they do realize that there's a problem, well, much like Dylan Mulvaney and Gillette and John Deere and all of the other ones that we've talked about before, will go broke. So I'm not going to complain when that company goes, well, not the company, but I won't complain when sales of Jaguar go into the shitter, because that's basically where it belongs at this point in time. Oh, and then Wizards of the Coast doing what they're doing. Well, I've heard rumor or speculation that Musk is probably going to be looking at buying Wizards of the Coast as well, too. And if he does, I can't fucking wait. I won't be the least bit surprised if one of his last acquisitions is going to be Disney, or at least he's going to buy Disney and basically sell it off and just keep Star Wars or something. I don't know. We'll see. Wait and see. But God, when did I start playing? I started playing in grade 6. So I was 11 years old, give or take. Keep on the Borderlands with the basic sets. Then about a year later, I looked into and went into the Expert edition, which was interesting. It certainly brought more complexity. And then within a year or two, it was the advanced first edition stuff. And then when second edition, it was better. I did like the upgrades that they did to it. Although, fuck, all of those goddamn fucking player handbooks, or Player's Guide to Elves, Dwarves, Clerics, Thieves, Fighters, Monks, and oh my god.
That was the good shit. Shut up. That was good shit.
They milked all of that for what it was worth. I mean, I remember playing Dragonlance when it first came out as a module. And then they had all of those novels, and my god, it was extensive. Like it almost rivaled Star Wars in terms of novelization. And like it built up so much storyline and ideas. And again, R.A. Salvatore loved the work that he did, both within Forgotten Realms as well as within Star Wars. And then, but my favorite game setting was Dark Sun. It was harsh. Environmentalism gone sideways with magic, sort of thing. And then once I finally was able to read the novels, it was like, wow, this is interesting. Not that there wasn't a reason for things that had gone on or happened the way that they did, or whatever the case may be, but it's one of those, wow, this is cool. Okay. And then 3 came out. 3.0 came out. It's like, that makes more sense. It leveled the playing field. The experience point differences
which I agreed with in second edition, but I agreed with it in third, when it was all changed to everybody's all the same level for experience and whatnot. That really is a mixed bag. Like I said, both sides of the argument make sense. So, but it was what it was. But you were able to increase your ability stats 1 point every 4 levels, which is great. Hey, no problem there. And then they got rid of they incorporated prestige classes in those extensive player books that I've mentioned. Like, for example, the Infiltrator as a multi-class fighter mage thief for an elf. There are advantages to doing it right off the bat, and there were disadvantages to doing it. So that was a bit of a give and take. And then what I really enjoyed going from second to third edition was the way that psionics were changed. And it made a lot more sense. I mean, with the second edition psionics, it was you gained a certain number of points back per hour. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, that goddamn woman. Jesus, I'm going to fucking drink. Anyway. Sorry, folks. Personal life is its way through here. Anyway, but getting back to the whole thing of Wizards of the Coast just dumping on the white folk. If I was to buy any D&D stuff, I'm going to be looking for the third. I'll be looking for second edition, 3 and 3.5. I looked at 4. Shit didn't make any sense. 5, whatever. I walked away from that a long time ago. And typically at your conventions, it's going to be primarily, shall we say, white guys. Maybe Asian. And looking into it, someone I had watched a video, I don't remember where, but within the show said the black community had never really took off. So for them, for that side of that part of society, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, it's just not part of that, the culture there. So really what Hasbro, oh, shocker, Hasbro still owns Wizards of the Coast, don't they? I think they do.
Yeah, they do.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Hasbro shareholders, what do we get? We seem to have taken a bit of a dive.
Well, that's because they suck, dude. Freaking, they screwed up with freaking D&D Online. That knocked them off the freaking platform.
Well, over the last 5 days or so.
For D&D Beyond, I'm sorry.
And sorry, guys. I've got to go. I've been picked up to take care of some things. So
yep,
I might be back before the end of the show. Who knows?
You have a good one, B.
Yeah, have a good one. Yeah, well, this particular section has gone on over an hour now. So, yeah,
so Hasbro stock over the last month has reached a point of almost $67. When it last closed, it was at 64. So it hasn't moved really all that much. So if Musk
that's a 5% drop. That's actually not that small. Continue.
No, it's not all that much. It's not much to begin with anyway. But I mean, at the end of the day, if Musk is going to buy Hasbro, great, fine, break it up into 1,000 pieces, and then let them figure that shit out all on their own. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. I walked away a long time ago. I'm still emotionally attached to some degree or another to the Star Wars role-playing from Final Fantasy flight games. So whatever the wokesters in Seattle are going to do, or whatever the wokesters in Seattle are going to do, and I wish them luck. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling we might go on a little bit for this one, but yeah, we need to get because we are actually going to be talking about Disney in the next section here. Okay, so Topic number 2. Elon Musk in possible consideration to buy both Disney and MSNBC.
Hold on. To at least 3. Can we put up the graphic of this? I think I'm gonna have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. No.
Wow. When Rachel Maddow sucks, you saw that picture I posted up. Yesterday.
I'd be praying to keep myself sane and just like don't. You don't know what's there. You don't know what she's got.
Oh my God, Rachel Maddow, when she actually posted that photo up when she was talking, and she like literally almost had a fucking meltdown right live while she was doing the show. I mean, first of all, man, I am not under any kind of auspices that Elon Musk is doing that. I mean, it's in Elon Musk's best business to be promoting free speech and to be opening things up and to be making things more democratized, because, I mean, yeah, eventually they would eventually come for him too at some point. That ain't going to happen over the next 4 years, barring some type of a military coup or whatever. Yeah. He's been rumored to be buying Disney. I don't necessarily know whether he would. This is just my opinion. I don't know whether I'd want to buy Disney out. What I would do, and this has probably crossed Elon Musk's mind, is to buy Lucasfilm, like sue Disney, come up with a court settlement, and that court settlement would include Lucasfilm and the MCU, and at that point, I would immediately, like, not only would I fire Kathleen Kennedy immediately, but I would be filming her walking out of the fucking place, just for the happy joy celebration that it would cause. Disney is in a lot of trouble, and allow me to explain why Disney is in a lot of trouble. There's obviously enough of a non-woke or people who give a shit about their actual job in Disney that, first of all, James O'Keefe got all those leaks, if you recall, a few months back. But somebody was able to get a hold of a raw footage, almost finished a version of Snow White or Snow Brown, and post it up online. This on top of everything else that they've had to go through. I mean, you know, they have to see Rachel Zegler through to the end, regardless of all the stupidity that she keeps doing. But I mean, yeah, somebody leaked the not quite finished version of Snow White and put it up online, and yeah, it's, you know, as if it wasn't bad enough, because they were desperately trying to get some of their investment back. Because as it currently stands right now, Disney will have to clear $1 billion on Snow White in order to get their money back, and a hugely disproportionate amount of that falls on what Rachel Zegler did. Another hugely disproportionate amount of that falls on the writers and the casters. And I mean, there's blame, there's system. I mean, the whole Snow White thing is just a example of complete incompetence, which I will get into for 411. But Disney is getting, I mean, Disney is currently also facing, and this is also something that's brought up, that Rachel Zegler complicated the living fuck out of. Gina Carano is suing Disney, and Disney cannot bury Carano under tons and tons and tons of expensive paperwork because Elon Musk is funding her lawsuit. So yeah, Elon, the delaying and stalling tactics and all the expensive legal maneuvers that a corporation could normally do to bury an individual, they can't pull that off with Gina Carano because Elon Musk can match from stride for stride. But, and I'm going to point out something about X. You know, they were making a big deal. Actually, even up until about a couple weeks ago, they were making a big deal about all of these advertisers that had pulled their ads off of X. After Elon discovered who it was that was doing this and took them to court and basically sued them to the point where they just basically closed up shop, most of those advertisers have come crawling back. So Elon Musk has been seeing a slight upturn in his fortunes lately. Disney, well, I mean, I think at this point you can safely say that Snow White and the current group of creatives in that particular section of Disney Studios, I mean, those guys are gone. You know, allowing the stills to leak was one thing, but then, you know, like allowing, and by the way, the fact that somebody would be so pissed off at Disney and at that production that they would knowingly leak the film online tells me something about the culture at Disney. And again, I'm going to go back to, like, I mean, when I was running my film group, there's a couple of guys who used to live in LA and were telling me about what the Disney studios in Burbank were, and they were calling Auschwitz. They were calling the Disney studios in Burbank. The nickname for it is Mauschwitz. That's how bad of a place it was. And that was 2006. Do you even want to know what it's like now? So, yeah, Disney is in a lot of trouble. And they just cannot. I mean, let's not even get into the point where Bob Iger went out and lied to stockholders. Says, yeah, we're through woke. And, like, literally, like, 2 hours after he made that speech, the MCU came out and decided to introduce the female Silver Surfer, right? You know,
what could possibly go wrong?
So Disney just keeps making stupid move after stupid move, and of course, on top of all that, they antagonized Elon Musk to the point where they pissed him off. So it's like he's considering buying Disney now. MSNBC, on the other hand, now CNN has got some rather. I mean, they had Don Lemon, and they had. They brought him back though. Brian Stelter, Mr. Fat Soy Boy himself. They actually brought Brian Stelter back, but I mean, they got rid of a lot of the woke broadcasters on CNN. They've gotten rid of. And when we get to CNN down below, we'll actually go through it. CNN has taken some hits, but MSNBC, for the most part, has gotten away with, mostly because CNN kept taking all the hits for them, and MSNBC continued to kind of like dodge the bullet because CNN was there taking all the hits for them. And, you know, Rachel Maddow was probably one of the worst propagandists out there, especially around that. Trying to remember what the hell that first impeachment of Trump. that first attempted impeachment of Trump, that Russian collusion. I mean, she was outright, almost blatantly lying. And by the way, Rachel Maddow is a Rhodes Scholar, so she's not stupid. So she knows damn well exactly what she's doing. And then, of course, you've got one of the most, maybe it's perhaps a good thing that V left. One of the most bigoted, racist assholes on network news right now, and Joy Reid. Like, Joy Reid wears her racism towards whites like it's a fucking badge of honor. And she just, I won't say she's as bad as Ziegler, but she literally cannot keep her mouth shut. Now, and this is going to be a theme that's going to run throughout this particular show. After the election, a lot of these, and this is something that's happening with a lot of companies now, people have suddenly realized it's like, what? You mean to tell me? Because I mean, the mainstream media, and MSNBC is part of the mainstream media, they were trying to give everybody the impression that they were the majority and that all of the woke stuff was somehow in vogue and this is what everybody wanted and whatever. And after the election, MSNBC, and actually we're going to get into some of the woke broadcasters on Twitch later. MSNBC, and MSNBC was already on the, they weren't as bad, they weren't getting as badly hit as CNN, but I mean, now that CNN is basically limping and hobbling around on one leg, MSNBC has kind of stepped up into the forefront. MSNBC has lost half of its viewing, or almost half of its viewing audience since the election. This is a situation that is happening on YouTube. This is a situation that's happening with CNN. This is a situation that's happening with network news. This is a situation that is going on with the entire establishment media. They are pissed off. They are hurting. And they did it to themselves. And what blows my mind is that some of the people are still full of themselves. They're still trying to blame this on everybody but themselves. But MSNBC has reached the point now where Comcast can no longer justify the expense of running MSNBC, and MSNBC is now up for sale. Somebody suggested, and that's where that photo comes into play, somebody suggested to Elon that Elon buy MSNBC, and Elon Musk is apparently considering it. And somebody posted up, I think it was Elon himself who posted this up, but somebody posted it up, and Rachel Maddow posted this tweet up at her show, and she was so choked up and so disturbed by it that she had to they had to go to commercial break, because I don't know, I don't fucking watch Rachel Maddow. But they're in trouble. They know they're in trouble. And a huge section of the people in that company who had basically been holding on, have been basically continuing to work at that company, not because that they were like believers or anything like that, but it was just a paycheck, right? Those people who were just in it for the paycheck are suddenly realizing, like, hey, you know what? My paycheck might not be there anymore, because these people just won't shut the fuck up. They won't back off on the rhetoric. They won't back off on the propaganda. And they just keep doing it to themselves over and over and over again. And now what's literally happened, and this is probably going to be really evident next year, is that alt media is actually going to be given some serious consideration. I saw another meme which showed Alex Jones hosting a show on MSNBC, which would make me laugh my ass off if it happened. It's also been rumored that he might actually buy Prison Planet because there was some real sleazy crap that happened around the first attempted auction of it, and it's like, yeah, man, interesting times. I pretty sure Elon, like in particular, buying MSNBC kind of fits into the plan with what he wants to have going, which is basically a full-scale broadcast system, which is internet, television, cable, like the whole spread. And MSNBC would fit into that a lot better than Disney. But I mean, he might just buy Disney as well. Who knows? But Elon does not have endless pockets. Personally, if I was Elon, what I would do is I would buy Lucasfilm from Disney. I would try, although again, Jeff Bezos runs Amazon and Amazon holds the rights to Warhammer 40K. I would do what I could to try to pry the rights from Warhammer 40K out of the hands. Basically, I would try to get Games Workshop material out of the hands of Amazon, and I would also try to procure the rights to Dungeons and Dragons, in particular the Dragonlance saga, the Dragonlance world. And I would set up an independent studio that way. That's just me. But yeah, we're living in some interesting times. And oh, by the way, if you go over, I haven't gone over to Blue Sky, and when we do that special on Hollywood, we'll have to throw in the Blue Sky part on this. Blue Sky has become so they almost crashed the servers at Blue Sky. And of course, and this is going to come as a massive major shock to both of you, but a close look at what's going on Blue Sky has suddenly found out that there's a disproportionately large, just like at Mastodon, there is a disproportionately large number of pedophiles and just sexual deviants that are at Blue Sky. Yes, I know. I'm absolutely shocked at that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Yeah, I was sitting there listening to you, and what it really reminds me of is like some of the conversations we've had on here about, I forgot the name of that group, but they're the ones that were getting into freaking, they were advertisers, and they were pushing this woke thing, and they were the ones that Elon Musk actually caused to freaking go out of business because he counters
Garm, yeah.
So I mean, for me, that's kind of that. If Elon Musk is going to even consider going after Walt Disney, it would probably be because of a lot of the things that have been happening in his career. You know, like first of all, Twitter, I'm sorry, before they were X, they attacked him by banning his channel, and that right there gives you kind of an background on what his type of attitude is. He didn't take it laying down. He said, yeah, you're going to ban me from frickin' Twitter? Watch this. So he bought the frickin' company, you know. And that's what a lot of people forget about him, too, is the reason why he bought frickin' Twitter. It wasn't because it was a good business move, you know. And I think that it just went further and further from that. He turned from this person who was about, you know, space exploration and the Tesla vehicles and all of this tech stuff into a guy that wanted to freaking get into the social net platforms and stuff like that. And And I think it's a good thing, you know, but I think it's going farther even. He's starting to realize that if he's going to take them on, he's going to have to freaking go after a lot of these big corporations like Walt Disney. He's going to have to go against freaking a lot of them that are big. It'd be nice if he did come in and buy up some of these role-playing games like Wizards of the Coast and all that too, because that's where I first started hearing about all this stuff. And at the time, it didn't have a name for it. Like, people weren't calling it woke or anything like that. They were just pissed off because it was happening, you know. And the reason why I brought the orcs up, and I guess V didn't catch on to it, was, you know, the orcs were supposed to be black too, you know. So, you know, and they're mortal enemies against elves and dark elves. There's also different kinds of elves too. They're not just black, you know, like there's dark elves, and then there's different types. There's freaking elves that are freaking solid white. But my whole point is the ones they're referencing is an elf, which is a mortal enemy of an orc, you know, and that was what pissed me off about the whole deal, you know. I think that too many people are caught up in this whole thing about freaking their gender identity and their race, and it's bullshit, you know what I mean? Because freaking I look at it like this, you know, my nieces and my nephews, they freaking went to school. They didn't have to worry about any of this racist shit, you know what I mean? It was like my oldest niece freaking went to prom with her freaking lesbian friend and her boyfriend, but they were all there together. Her lesbian friend freaking dressed up like a guy, and nobody had a big deal about it. Nobody thought much about it. I mean, it was like freaking people freaking weren't freaking out because of homosexuality, and now all of a sudden freaking there's bullshit about freaking transgender freaking bathrooms that my niece's freaking son has to freaking put up with now because he's getting to that age where they're all talking about this shit. And it was like there was I live in a small town here in southern Illinois, and back in the 80s, a black man didn't walk through the streets of West Frankfort. Okay, it just didn't happen. In the early 80s, 70s, all the way back, it just didn't happen. And that changed. That changed to where people freaking actually didn't do that shit no more, you know what I mean? And now with all this shit happening, it's starting up all over again, you know. There's the freaking racial bullshit that's stirring up again, and there's people that want that shit to start. They're doing that because they're freaking they make money off of it. There's a lot of these programs that are involved with government and political groups and activist movements that need money, so they have to freaking stir the pot to piss people off. And they're attacking freaking things like freaking Wizards of the Coast and Disney World. Disney World was freaking taken over by the freaking people. Okay, that was probably his brother. I don't even think it was Walt Disney's brother because he was too freaking greedy. You know what I mean? Walt Disney was the guy who was the hippie kind of, you know, fairy tale kind of guy, but his brother was a freaking greedy person. It was all about the money. And it was after that whole thing happened where freaking Walt Disney got taken over. And I agree with you on that whole thing about he said one thing and then bam, right after he said it, he freaking went right back to that woke bullshit. And you know, for me, I think that people need to be paying attention to the stuff that's going on at Walt Disney World too, because there's a lot more going on than just freaking you know, parks and rides and cartoons and all that stuff. They're getting caught up in a lot of this stuff, and it's getting out of hand. And that's basically all I've got to say about it.
Alrighty. Well, this actually doesn't surprise me. Again, leading up to the election, November 5th, you didn't hear or see the Washington Post or the New York Times, or really for that matter, anything from the executives of Disney or Fox or whoever. No one got behind Kamala. So, my opinion being that they could see the writing on the wall. Where they knew that Trump was going to win. And again, as I stated earlier, that tipping point, that threshold that we're pretty much at right now with Wizards of the Coast or Jaguar, for that matter, people have had enough. So, I mean, at the time that advertisers were leaving X and, you know, the infamous "Bob, go fuck yourself" was said, a lot of people were just kind of going, "Oh my God, you can't say that," you know, that sort of thing. And hold on.
Hello.
Yeah, he had to step away for a second. So, I'll
Jesus, Mary Joseph.
Okay.
It's okay.
Oh my God. Gents, if any of you are single, I recommend you stay single. Just saying. Anyway.
Masturbation, dude. Masturbation.
So
make sure you use the Orange Man hand bulb while you're doing it.
That's right. You forgot to say your commercial tonight, too, by the way.
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna be taking a commercial break right after Rusin gets his
And with Orange Man Hand Bomb, we now actually have industrial 1-barrel size as well, just to make sure that you have pretty much a lifetime supply. Lord knows if you just want to see how much you can use in a year.
Oh no, I've got a brand new commercial sponsor tonight. Okay, continue, Rusin.
Anyway, so basically, what could be seen, I guess, is the rise of not necessarily conservatism, but perhaps common sense coming back. And as I said as well, is that all of the women and the wokesters that lost their fucking minds because Trump won, it's now basically starting to become open season. So I think that much like what you and I have noticed, Naroki, having lived in Banff, and the frogs, when they come out and they just don't really talk about Quebec politics, or they don't want to separate because it's just not a good thing. And they realize that after a while that they're out here because there's a part of the country where they can actually make a living versus not being able to make as much of a living back home in Montreal or Quebec or wherever. So, and they've learned to basically shut the fuck up. So, the way that I see it is that the advertisers have realized the platform isn't dying. The people that have a problem with Musk are leaving. They have another platform to go to. And they've probably come to realize that the public wants to be overall left alone. They want to be able to say what they want to say. And censoring people doesn't really go very far anymore, especially because of a Trump presidency. They're going to have to eat crow. So for me, that doesn't sound all that surprising. As for Musk considering buying both Disney and MSNBC, would that not be a conflict of interest in one sense that you own two major news outlets, so you'd have to get rid of one or the other? I mean, if I was if I was any of those crusty, leathery, good God, bitches on The View, I'd be shitting my pants right now as well too. I mean, they're the epitome of know-it-all dumb fucking cunts is what they are. Especially Joy Behar. God, that woman just needs to. That woman needs to be spit roasted, tied up and spit roasted, and just left there for a while just to shut her up. But that's just my personal opinion. Not that I'm advocating anybody do that, because Lord knows I wouldn't touch that with a triple wrap dick. Anyway, no standards, folks. No standards. Now, to go back to the whole thing about Disney, Musk is considering Disney. He did meet up with what's his name? That multi-billionaire investor who failed in getting a seat on the Disney board. Peltz. That's it.
Nelson Peltz. Yeah.
Nelson Peltz. And Musk was asked, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm thinking about, considering an acquisition. That was basically kind of hinted that he was looking to doing something that would be able to buy Disney or to buy maybe a controlling stake of Disney. Who knows? So that's probably where this came from. I don't know. I certainly don't know. I mean, Disney stock has gone from the low over the last year of just about $83, I believe, and now it's up to about 110. So it's gone up. It's nowhere near its peak of $200.
Well, that's because they've actually had a couple of decent. They've had the Dead Cat bounce. They actually had a couple of decent movies this year.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
no, that's fine. Yeah, between Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2, yeah, those are the two ones that can actually show that Disney can make money. They just have to shut the wokesters up and tell them to toe the line, or there's a door. We'll hire people who actually can do the job of what we need. So maybe, just maybe, I could see Musk more or less having an interest more in Star Wars than anything else. Maybe the MCU. Maybe, I don't know. And as for the whole thing with MSNBC, honestly, in that case, in the case of MSNBC or MSNBC, is whatever. It's legacy dying media is what it is. So if I was him, like I said, if I was to buy Disney, I'd put everything else up for sale. But it's like, no, I'm keeping Star Wars, and we're going to sell everything else. It's going to be, it'll be a fire sale. We don't care. That's what I would do. So I don't have anything more to say at this point. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, and now allow me to introduce the new commercial sponsor for the show. That's right, Jaguar Motors and its new 2025 electric car. Yes, that's right. It's the Jaguar Uranus. That's right, the Jaguar Uranus. Complete with front and rear traction, otherwise known as fart. And it comes in a whole variety of colors. Mostly pink and multiple shades of brown. Oh, yes, that's right, boys. I love driving around, talking to all the pedos on Blue Sky on one, driving with one hand, with my tinfoil hats or tinfoil hats are on my head, whilst stroking and pleasuring myself with Orange Man Bad Hand Balm on the other. That's right, the new Saturn Uranus. That's right, the whole new electric car. By the way, it is. You can power the new 2025 Jaguar Uranus with power coming directly from the Mega Spur generator. That's right, it's compatible with the Mega Spur generator. And ladies, the 2025 Jaguar Uranus vibrates. That's right. Don't forget to get to your Jaguar dealership right now. You'll get a complimentary barrel of Orange Man Bad Hand Balm just for doing so. And now back to the regular show.
Complete with additional pegs, heated if you want, and with that wonderful new shitty car smell.
That's right, the Jaguar Uranus coming in 2025, and it's electric powered. Yes, don't forget the Mega Spur generator is also included with purchase. All right, so let's get on to topic number.
Coupons for that.
I was going to say it comes in 3 colors: white, pastel, pink, and powder blue.
Any coupons?
And multiple shades of brown.
Any coupons for that?
Yep, and don't forget it's got the special front and rear traction, or FART for short. All right, let's move on to the next topic here, because surprisingly large number of long topics tonight, which is a bit of a surprise. Okay, next topic is the mayors of both Boston and Denver, because we already know that one of the first things that Trump is going to do is he is going to partake in one of the biggest mass deportations around. And of course, if you go on to places like Threads and whatever, you know, it's like, well, how are they going to be able to afford to do that? It's like, oh, okay, so let me see if I understand this. They got enough money to provide hotel rooms to illegal immigrants, but somehow they won't. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to take the money that they're using to pay for immigrants in hotel rooms. They're going to give that to ICE so that they can deport their sorry asses. And yeah, to quote the new border czar, they can deport the whole family together. Family unity. If you go over to Threads, and I have gone over to Threads, and some of the rhetoric that is going on over there about this, because they know what's coming, right? And they participated in it. You know, and it's just having to listen to some of the and this is, by the way, the mayor of Denver. Aurora, Colorado is a suburb in Denver. So you remember all of those apartment complexes that got taken over by Venezuelan gangs? Yeah, that's just outside of Denver. The mayor of Denver knows about this, but has publicly gone on the record saying that he will try to oppose mass deportation from Denver.
Tom,
and of course, what's you
heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it, and I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking the law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking the law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute, it's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III, and what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also a felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And I find it shocking that any mayor of a city would say, President Trump's been clear, we want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, if you don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
I would certainly protest it, and I would expect other residents would do the same.
Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact. Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems. Republican and Democratic presidents in the past have all tried to find solutions to these problems. President Reagan helped people get access to work so they could stay and support themselves. Biden and Harris worked on restricting entry at the border to close down. There are a lot of ways to approach this problem. We don't think it has to come to this. But yeah, I think when you look at, Ralph Carr has always been one of my heroes. He was the governor who in the middle of the internment of Japanese Americans said this was the wrong thing to do. And he stood up. It was unpopular. People were mad at him about it. That was in the middle of wartime. If the president or any of his actors are going to do things that we think are illegal or immoral or un-American, we'll stand up against them.
Defending our residents every possible way. Well, she's not very smart. I'll give her that. Because what I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? I mean, that's her number one responsibility, is to protect her communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So she helps us, she gets the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. And look, there's a clear line here, and they can't cross a clear line. I would suggest she read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III, that says, you can't harbor or conceal an illegal alien from front of law enforcement officers. So I hope she don't cross that line. They can not cooperate. But there are certain laws in place that they can't cross, and I hope she doesn't cross it. But
I'm not stupid, and I'm pretty damn sure that Trump isn't stupid. He has probably anticipated that some of these sanctuary cities are going to try to run block. Won't be advised that they do that, because I don't think the current administration is going to look very favorably upon that. Both Boston and Denver still receive a significant amount of federal funding. Undoubtedly, a lot of that federal funding is going into the coffers of some rather corrupt public officials. If they try to oppose what Trump is going to be doing, and he is probably going to do it, the city is going to suddenly find themselves, just like what happened with Minneapolis. They're just suddenly going to find themselves without they're just going to find themselves without getting any federal money. And just one of the big things, and this is the one issue that I'm going to say about Denver. Yeah, Aurora, Colorado was that place where those Venezuelan criminals took over those apartment complexes. And actually, it was MSNBC. They had the upcoming, why can I not remember the vice president? J.D. Vance. They had J.D. Vance on MSNBC. And a commentator on MSNBC, and yeah, she actually went there. And she said, well, what's the big deal? It's just a couple of apartment complexes in Colorado. It's not like they're doing it. As much as I dislike Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow over there, like that one, like I would, if Elon Musk were to buy MSNBC, like I would send goon squads into this woman's office. I would tape her to the chair, and I would carry that chair out to the front door of the MSNBC office, and I would toss her out while still taped to the chair. Why am I so particularly pissed off about this? It's because, and this is the same sort of thing that's going on in Canada right now with the Chinese government having these unofficial police stations around, is that a foreign entity has just casually walked into the United States and taken over territory and started acting like they own it. And the mayor of Denver and the governor of Colorado and the current president of the United States are not, in fact, they're attempting to downplay it. right? That they're not doing anything about it. And, international governments are looking on this and they're seeing that the Biden administration isn't doing anything about this. And yeah, they are viewing that as a sign of weakness because you are allowing a foreign, effectively what's amounting to a bunch of foreigners, to come in and take territory in your country and start acting like it's theirs. Now, this has been happening over in Europe quite a bit, but it's a relatively new thing in North America. And everybody in anybody who's like awake, not woke, awake, knows what's going on in Europe right now. And they do not want that coming here, which kind of leads me to suspect that Trump is also going to be deporting a significant number of Palestinians and Hamas supporters who are here on student visas and talking about the overthrow of the government here. Yeah, some of those people are going to get deported too. But, the mayors of Boston and Denver have openly declared they are going to try to interfere with the deportation. I think that's a very bad idea, but it's not to be expected. I fully expect you're going to probably see a few other municipalities do this, just like when Pierre Poilievre takes over in Canada and is going to have to basically do the same thing that Trump is doing down in the U.S., just to kind of harmonize. Because, by the way, Trump is not going, especially with Justin Trudeau in power, like Trump is not going to be cutting Canada any breaks. Like he might do it once Poilievre comes in, but he's gonna be sledgehammering Trudeau every fucking chance he gets, because Trudeau is just a dirt bag, right? But yeah, okay. Yes, municipalities can try to interfere with this. Municipalities can throw up roadblocks. They can have protesters in there, whatever. Fine. You know what? We'll just get National Guard, or we'll get regular armed. And by the way, this is how they've been attempting to twist this around. Oh, he's going to start using the armed forces on their own citizens. Well, if you're blocking the functions of government to protect people who aren't even American citizens, yeah, and the local police are not going to render you any assistance, and the state is not going to render you any assistance, then Trump is going to have to do what he has to do. And that may involve having to bring in regular armed forces to get people off the fucking streets for trying to interfere with him, trying to make America again. And you're going to see versions of this in Canada probably in 2026. So, yeah. End of the year, when we do the speculative guesses for 2025, this is going to probably be one of them. But Boston and Denver were the first ones. The one in Denver really kind of annoys me just because it's the mayor of Denver. Hold on a second. Sorry, I felt a sneeze coming on. The mayor of Denver knows what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, and neither him nor the governor of Colorado has lifted a finger to do anything about it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go in and check a lot of that out because I think Rand Paul was one of the people who were bringing that up before about the Denver mayor. The thing that I don't know. I'm not really a big supporter of the whole freaking the whole immigration thing, because I think that that's like it's not really freaking relevant. Everybody who is conservative says, or not even conservative, it's more of a national socialist movement than anything else. They always say how, oh, these immigrants are coming over here and they're just a bunch of freaking immigrants trying to take over the country and shit. And the reason why they're doing that is because freaking they are distracting you from what's really going on. You know what I mean? They're building off of your hate, and they're trying to push this agenda that freaking, you know, these people are coming into our country all of a sudden by the mass droves when they've been doing it since freaking the beginning of time. Like, these numbers haven't changed one iota since freaking the 90s to now. It's been the same thing. And like these sanctuary cities, you know, they were doing it back before 9/11. They started actually in the freaking 90s, but now all of a sudden it's been bloated up freaking to something that's just so horrible, and it's just recently started, and all of this bad stuff, you know. And the reason why it's gotten so popular is because freaking these socialists are freaking wanting to push their national socialist agendas. They want to come in and they want to freaking build a wall like they keep talking about, but they also want to freaking force freaking mandatory state IDs on voting, which is unconstitutional because our voting belongs to us, the people. It doesn't belong to the government. Now, when you start telling people that they need to freaking use state ID to freaking declare that they live here in the United States, then what you're doing is you're handing freaking our freaking voting rights over to the freaking government, which it's not a government thing. This is a right that we here in the United States have by us, the people. And that's the reason why we've never used state ID to freaking vote, okay? These are the same people that think it's important to freaking have, you know, alcohol and drug organizations that freaking monitor how much alcohol is being shipped from point A to point B. They're also the ones that freaking started prohibition, which failed utterly. You know, these are the things that are going on right now. Now, I'm against freaking the liberals, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is freaking another side of socialism. There's also the freaking National Socialists, which have their own agendas too. These are people who freaking don't care about small government, which the United States was about. That's what conservatives really believe in. They believe in small government. They don't believe in big government. So when you take a look at all of what these people are discussing, they're talking about building up a freaking huge government just for freaking immigration. All right, that's what they're talking about. Now, I don't know what freaking Donald Trump's stance on that is. You know, I know that he's freaking talking about wanting to take care of immigration, but like he's made promises before that he didn't hold. He did try his best on building this wall, you know, but that ended up failing. So even though he says he wants to do this, just because he says it right now doesn't mean that it's going to take place, because he had a lot of resistance before. And that's the way it's always been in the United States. Now this time it might be different because the elections showed a lot of amazing things. Like we actually had a full red wave, which means the House was freaking taken by the Republicans, the Senate was taken by the Republicans, and the executive branch was taken by the Republicans. And the Supreme Court is all conservative. I mean, there's a couple of liberals in there, but there ain't very many of them. And that's why Roe versus Wade got overturned. And that could be a positive. Maybe we could get some stuff done. But I just wanted to make sure people understood that frickin' this shit with immigration is not a conservative idea. This is a socialist idea that's been frickin' pushed on to conservatives, and they just believe it 100% that that's a conservative idea, and it's not. Now, another thing that I did notice that you brought up about Canada and Trump that I want to mention is Canada and Trump have had a very good freaking relationship. As a matter of fact, the day Trump got into office, the North American pipeline went into full effect. And that was something that he streamlined and he had going all the way up until he left office. And that's when Biden stepped in and got rid of it. Before Biden.
I know. I was working on that pipeline, by the way.
Right. And at the time too, our countries were freaking fuel independent. We were taking care of our own fuel products, and there was no outside influence on that. There was no freaking Middle East. There was no South America or freaking Africa. It was all here in the North America. We were taking care of our own fuel, and that's something that I also wanted to point out. I'm an independent voter for a reason, and there's a lot of issues that I have with the Republicans. I personally feel that the Republicans have been overran by the National Socialists. And I also freaking just like the classic liberalists, the ones that freaking first came up with the whole concept of the Constitution, they were overran by the freaking radicals, which are here in the United States now. Everybody likes to call them the woke, and they like to call them liberals, but that's who they really are. They're the radicals. But that's how I feel about the Republicans. They've got just as many problems going on in their party as what the frickin' Democrats do. It's just everybody's really happy with the Republicans because Donald Trump knew that the only way he could take presidency was to jump on the Republican ticket. And that's the way most independents do it. Like Bernie Sanders was supposed to be a Green Party member, and he jumped on the freaking Democrats' tickets because he knew that he could win if he was a Democrat, but he couldn't do it if he was in the Green Party. So that's how they play things here. And I'm not really cool with that either. So that's why I refer to myself as an independent voter, and that's all I got.
Alrighty. Well, good to declare resistance if mass deportation occurs. Well, I mean, as Naroki had said, I mean, there's, I'm sure that there'll be funds are going to be cut off to the city, if not maybe to the state, both states, as necessary. But let's be honest, would be rather heavy-handed to do that. But it's not something I would think that would be wrong to do so. But I mean, in the interest of it being national emergency, national security issue, I could basically see that it comes down to it. I don't see why executive orders or the state of emergency declared, and it's one of those things. It's like, well, we're gonna have to suspend your rights for a little while, and excuse me, at the end of the day, I won the popular vote, so this is something people want to get done and taken care of. So you can resist all you want, but you got to do what you got to do. And as well, I mean, was it not Harris Biden or Biden Harris, whatever you want to call them, that gave the authorization to use lethal force on their citizens? So sorry, folks, but the precedent's already been established from the executive office that if push comes to shove, they will shoot upon the government can shoot upon its citizens. I don't think that such a drastic step is going to be done, but it has been set from Washington or from the White House itself. What I think would be more interesting is to have auditors go through all of the records, and for it to be known to the public officials that, look, we're gonna only because you've raised a big stink, we're gonna go through all of your books. And if that was me, any interference would garner not just suspicion, but be one of those, okay, well, we're going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Excuse me, but that's what I would do. So I don't honestly have anything really more to say. Oh, Boston, wait a minute. Isn't that Asian, that useless female Asian mayor?
Yeah, it is. I think it is, yeah.
Freaking Michelle Wu. Oh, yeah. Yeah. First woman of color. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Yeah. Yeah, she's, I wouldn't say not the brightest light bulb on the Christmas tree, but not someone I would trust at all with my back to her, except if I'm wearing a bronze Roman breastplate. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, as for Colorado mayor, sorry, Denver mayor. Oh, he's white. I'm guessing he's a white liberal social justice warrior. Don't know anything about the guy, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that between those two. There should be enough for anyone with half a brain to be able to make assumptions. I will say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if my assumptions were correct. So I got nothing more to say.
All right. Don't forget, folks, the new Jaguar Uranus is going to be released next year with front and rear traction.
Great front and rear traction. Traction's farting so great, you can smell it a mile away.
You had to bring the traction up. My
Yes.
ass hurt.
And yeah, don't forget, ladies, it vibrates.
With optional pegs. For that deep, deep driving feeling.
Oh. That one took a second. That one took a second. That one took a second. Okay, let's move on to the next topic here. Okay, now we get into, now we're getting to Ellen DeGeneres.
Ask her if she wants me to start the car up for her, get it warm. Hey, Ellen.
Ellen, were you surprised by the allegations about P. Diddy? Did that surprise you about P. Diddy? He's been on your show many times.
Have a good night.
Have you been to his parties?
So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that? And then it will carry on there.
Yeah. Then no, I mean the after party.
No, I know about them. I'll listen to the music.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it has been pointed out, and this is this has been something that has been pointed out. Unlike when Trump got elected in 2016, this time the celebrities who are saying that they're leaving the country are actually leaving the country. Here's the thing, and this has been brought to the attention of most of the general public. The celebrities that are all leaving the country have very curious ties to either Epstein or P. Diddy. Now, Ellen DeGeneres, and we covered it. Ellen DeGeneres is one of those women, along with Rachel Zegler. Had Nihilist still been on doing the show, him and I probably would have ended up doing a Bad Thoughts on Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres had to shut down her show because the work environment there, again, and it was they're basically, there's the people who worked immediately around Ellen DeGeneres, and they were a bunch of sycophants, and they used the fact that they were directly in, there was basically a pecking order, and Ellen DeGeneres probably spent a lot of time shitting on those sycophants, and those sycophants went and got pissed off and took it out on the people who worked underneath them, and this went on for quite a while. Actually probably went on for years and years. And I mean, again, there was enough other stuff leaking out about Ellen DeGeneres that Ellen DeGeneres' star was already starting to drop even before all of this stuff came out about what was going on in her show. Now, one of the things that really kind of decided that I was going to have to do something specifically on Ellen DeGeneres, other than the fact that she's got some rather suspicious ties to P. Diddy, is that, I mean, I've seen so much information come out about P. Diddy and what was going on. I could almost safely say that he is, by degree, even worse than Jeffrey Epstein, even though maybe he wasn't so much as much of a pedophile as Epstein, but all of the other stuff. To be fair, and I can't believe I'm actually being fair to Epstein, at least not a lot of, when people tried to write stuff about Epstein, they didn't die under mysterious circumstances like they did with P. Diddy. That is something that is the difference between Epstein. I don't think maybe Epstein was willing to pull the trigger quite as quickly as P. Diddy was. I'm also thinking about the music scene in the 90s down in Los Angeles, because, I mean, on the one hand, you had P. Diddy, and on the other hand, you had Suge Knight, who is a thug and a goon and just an absolute tyrant. And if you were working on the music scenes, especially if you were in the rap music scene down in LA, talk about having a shitty fucking choice. You know, like if I had to pick, I really dislike Suge Knight as well. I thought he was a poor excuse for a human being. And I thought he left the streets, but the streets never left him. And he continued to act like a thug even after he was no longer working the streets, which is the reason why, and he wasn't anywhere near as sophisticated as P. Diddy was, which is the reason why he got caught and ended up in jail sooner. And as despicable as a human being as he is, I would actually, given what I know about P. Diddy now, if I was put in the situation picking between Suge Knight and P. Diddy, I'd have to take Suge Knight, which is frightening, because Suge Knight was not a particularly good individual either, but at least he wasn't fucking having freak-offs and fucking having sex with underage chicks and doing some of the depraved stuff that P. Diddy was. The other thing that stood out about this, and this is something that I do know because I've been kind of like paying attention to what's been going on with P. Diddy, more or less because I have to and I get curious, are the number of people who tried to write tell-all books or revealing books about P. Diddy. All of them either ended up dead or infirm. But here's the thing that really stood out. And this is the reason why, again, this is the specific reason why I had to use Ellen DeGeneres in particular as an example of this. Before she was involved with Portia de Rossi, she was involved with an actress by the name of Anne Heche. Now, Anne Heche had some drug issues that she was dealing with. And after she cleaned up I'm starting to think absolutely no coincidence. Once Anne Heche dealt with her drug issues, she left, she broke up with Ellen DeGeneres, and she was in the process of writing a tell-all book about Ellen DeGeneres. Now, she died of a medical complication, and it was the same type of medical complication that one of the writers of a book that was going to expose P. Diddy died from. Now, that is not conclusive. That is not to say that they are connected in some way. And I would need a lot more evidence to say that absolutely it was the same people or somebody connected through them the same way. But again, right, it's enough of a coincidence. The same kind of way when you started looking at Hollywood and all the human trafficking that was going on there, and you started seeing all of that symbolism in the back. This is just kind of one of those things that make you want to go, The other with Ellen DeGeneres, and I just went into that, was the toxicity and how she was treating the staff that worked on her show and how her underlings were specifically treating the staff on the show and how Ellen looked the other way, either knowingly or she just didn't care. The third item on this is the fact that I believe, I don't know for sure because I haven't looked, but there's been stories floating around that Trump is allegedly, and I'm going to say this to make it clear, allegedly the P. Diddy list and the Epstein list are going to get released under Trump. Ellen DeGeneres is apparently on both of those lists. And it has been curiously pointed out that a lot of the celebrities, Jimmy Kimmel also, he decided to go to Vancouver of all fucking places. But I mean, a lot of the celebrities are actually leaving the country this time. And it's been pointed out that the celebrities that are leaving all have curious ties to either Epstein or P. Diddy. Also, you know, unlike Harvey Weinstein, although P. Diddy is arguably an even bigger name than Harvey Weinstein, like Hollywood is just gone stock fucking silent on P. Diddy. Like they don't talk about him at all. And that is why I'm having to think I will in the next week or two do a P. Diddy special. In case you're wondering why I haven't been including P. Diddy on RPN, it's because the topic is so big that if we actually had a full episode on RPN, it would probably take about an hour or two to get it done. And we usually have a lot more topics, so I'm going to have to dedicate a specific show to it. And it's just a whole series of really weird coincidences tied in with Ellen DeGeneres, who is a very toxic, selfish fucking individual to start out with, that kind of left me no other choice but to put her on this particular show and up for discussion, because there's a lot going on there, and there's definitely some connection between P. Diddy and Ellen DeGeneres. How much Ellen knew and how much Ellen didn't know, I don't know. But yeah, her leaving, her actually choosing to leave and hiding it under the guise of wanting to get out of the U.S. because Trump won the presidential race, is something that a lot of celebrities are actually doing this time. And again, like, they're looking at all these celebrities, and this is the commonality they seem to have. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Okay, so the thing about Heche is, I think the weirdest part was the freaking accident, or the car where she freaking went crazy and started driving down the road slamming. I think she had three collisions, I believe, before freaking the third one finally, finished the high-speed pursuit, if I remember correctly. But that right there is weird. And with the whole thing about, like, these actresses and stuff, I know she's a lesbian and everything. She was in a relationship with Ellen, but there's a lot of people, man, who believe that, like in MK Ultra and shit. And I know you don't get into that on your shows and stuff, but like, situations like this kind of makes you stop and think about it, because like, she did have mental illnesses, don't get me wrong, but like, freaking, she also reported, or she made a book saying that freaking she was messed with by her father when she was a kid, and then that whole thing with Ellen DeGeneres, and I don't know too much about the whole thing, if she had a relationship or some kind of business relationship I'm talking about with, like, P. Diddy or not, but if she did, I mean, that's pretty freaking sordid, because I've actually spent time, me and Angel did a episode where we talked about P. Diddy, and we also talked about Tupac, and me and him disagree about the outcome with that thing when it comes to Tupac. I believe 100% that P. Diddy had something to do with it. And just so I can set it straight, too, before I came to that conclusion, well, first of all, let me say that I believe this even back when the shit was going on. Like, this isn't like a changed attitude that I have, you know what I mean? At first, when I first heard about it and I read about all the information, believe it or not, I actually thought freaking it was the Notorious B.I.G. that was behind it. And after freaking a friend of mine brought up some facts to me, that's when I started paying attention to P. Diddy. Because, first of all, with Notorious B.I.G., he was always in conflict with Dre and over freaking tracks and stuff. So eventually what happened was Notorious went in and he freaking took back his freaking music out of Dre's mansion. And Dre shut his mouth and let him go because he knew not to fuck with him. And the reason why he knew not to fuck with him was because freaking Notorious had freaking a lot of people who were bad news, and P. Diddy was one of them. But P. Diddy was different than all the other ones. Like, you had Suge Knight, like you said, who was pretty freaking, he was pretty sordid. He was fucked up. He's a fucked up dude. But you had P. Diddy, who was underhanded, and he was conniving. He was cunning, okay? If he was Irish, that's what. If he was white, he'd have been Irish, you know, that because that's the way they are. They're cunning. And when I say that, what I'm saying is he goes behind the scenes and he gets you freaking in the background, and you never know he's coming. And there was a lot, like, even during that time, man, that's when I started paying attention to that, and that happened shortly after Notorious ended up dying too. And there was always this thing about him and women. He's one of those guys, man, that freaking makes his fortune because he hooks up with these freaking really, really good-looking women. They're usually models or freaking beautiful actresses. And because of that, his popularity started growing, and he started getting known by people, as well as being a freaking hip-hop artist, you know. So there's a lot of things that were connected with that. But the thing that freaking gets me is whenever it comes to the accusations about what or how freaking Tupac died, you know. They first they started saying it was Baby Lane Anderson, which is freaking the nephew, I believe, of the guy who they're accusing now of shooting him. And Baby Lane's actual name was Orlando. But now they're trying to say that Dwayne Keith Davis or Keffy D is the guy who did it. And yeah, he was a freaking, he was a Crip, and Tupac was a Blood, but a lot of people didn't realize that freaking, there was things going on there that was very intimidating to people like freaking P. Diddy, because even though freaking Tupac was a Blood, he was in the process of making deals with Death Row to come into freaking Death Row and join up with freaking those guys. And that was whenever freaking you started noticing they were stepping up their game, like Snoop Dogg and was coming out with Murder Was the Case that they gave me, and freaking Dre Day came out, you know, and good those type of things is because they were hyping up for this time when freaking Tupac was going to join Death Row, and that really caused a lot of situations there. So for me, when I look at all that, I see it as a freaking cover-up way of taking and using Keefy D as a fall guy for it, you know, because first of all, it wasn't supposed to be him who was supposed to be the suspect. It was supposed to have been Orlando Anderson, which is Baby Lane. And later on, freaking after Baby Lane ended up dead, by the way, you know, ended up dead, Keefy D stands up and takes responsibility for it. And then after all that happened, which was just short while back, you know, mysteriously freaking P. Diddy gets in trouble with freaking sex trafficking and shit. So, you know, you put two and two together and come up with your own reasons for it, you know. And this whole thing with P. Diddy, it was like, you know, that deal with the sex trafficking thing really amazed me, because I was really surprised they could actually get him on that, because I really think that he's committed a few murders that he has never been prosecuted for. So I don't even know if that had to do with any of the shit freaking that you was talking about, but you know what? I hate freaking P. Diddy, so I'm just gonna keep spreading the word that he killed Tupac. And if nobody agrees with me, fuck you. I say he did. That's all that matters. So with that, I'll pass.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be a case I'm going to get fucked by you or not. That's perfectly fine.
Come on over here, Rearson. Come here,
well, trust me, I'm not going to be driving around and
I've got
anyone's
I've
Uranus.
got some of that Orange Man lubrication.
Well, I sure as fucking not going to be owning a Uranus, so that's one of those things not to worry about. Anyway,
But it's electric and it vibrates, so the ladies will love it, especially with the attachments. Continue.
Oh yeah, with the attachments, there was the option to make sure that they go up and down. And if the distractions become too great, then the vehicle will start to drive itself until such distractions are done, usually requiring a cigarette. Anyway. All right. That being said, well, I was going to say back in 2016, I had no idea of the rabbit hole that I would be in now. I mean, I was already out in the woods to some degree or another with the conspiracy theories, but never in my wildest dreams or nightmares would I have thought of things being as bad as they are with pedophiles. And that's to start. Satanic ritual abuse and sacrifices, and this is all what I believe to be true. And pretty much every celebrity that you see, every star, not every, but I've heard speculation in the NFL that if you want to become a first-string player, even though you may not be all that great, what you will have to do as a player is to buy a minimally underage girl, and then you're in. But then I've also heard that the NFL is also all rigged and set up before. Who knows? Can't confirm. I can neither confirm nor deny. And I wouldn't know where to start looking into that anyway, because I don't follow football, American football. Actually, sports overall, I don't give a shit about. Anyway. I had no idea of the extent of how involved people like Madonna were. I mean, let's not forget, folks. She was one of the faces for the pussy protest. But looking back to one of her earliest videos, I don't remember which one. I think it's her first one. She had an Illuminati. She wore a jacket, and on the back was the Illuminati triangle on it, or the pyramid of the eye. So that hindsight's 2020. That's all I can say, folks. Hindsight is 2020. So now they've jumped ship. They've gone elsewhere, and it's how can I say this? We get to see their real character now. Now, we did do something on Ellen a long time ago. I don't remember what the matter of it was. Oh, that's right. She was retiring. I think that's what the whole thing was all about. My opinion is that when it's released as to how nasty and how depraved and how awful people that we have idolized really are, because they sold their soul to the devil, literally. I mean, I know of someone who was an up-and-coming female jazz singer, and she was invited to the parties. And she didn't go very far with her career because she ended up she got some really weird vibes from it all, like really weird. And she was filtered out. That's really about the only way to say it. I mean, how many references have we seen or can you find on the internet of what happened to Bieber? I mean, I believe
the lyrics of one of his songs is that he sold his soul for a Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever it was. And I guess in a sense, the extensive tattoos that he's put on his body to show that his soul is broken. You know, the tattoos, I think, are there just to try to bring some sort of form of cover or distraction to his shattered mind or his shattered soul. I don't know, just a guess. I was going to say with Anne Heche, though, it was a little bit weird. I don't know if this was CGI'd or not, but when they were taking her away from her car crash, she was on the, I think it's called the gurney. She was being wheeled, before she was wheeled into the ambulance, she suddenly got up. So, I don't know. I really honestly don't know. Not saying she's alive, but for all intents and purposes, it's quite possible that she had to have her car, she had to fake her death to get away from it all and to be able to pin the blame on Ellen. If that's the case, I'm more of the opinion that we've got a body double of Ellen, even though she hasn't been very active in entertainment or in the news or the media at all. So, take that however you will. I've seen an alleged list of celebrities that have attended Diddy's parties, and it's disappointing. If that list is true, I'm not going to go into any. I'm not going to go into any details as to who is or isn't on the list, but it's very disappointing if it's true. But I guess for me, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, all of the shit that we have to see, that has to be spoken about, or whatever the case may be, it has to come through. It has to be exposed. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be very disruptive. A lot of people are going to be questioning what the fuck's going on. Why? How could anybody do this? That sort of thing. So, as far as I'm concerned, all of these people have been rounded up and have been processed, shall we say, in Guantanamo Bay or wherever, and they're gone. And there's stand-ins, whether that's body doubles, people wearing a mask, or they could be cloned and programmed to be themselves. And this is how it is, and maybe it's quite possible. I don't know. So this is something that's going to be done slowly. I expect that this is probably going to take about 2 years for this to all unfold. I could be wrong, who knows? But we'll see. And if it does go in that direction, I will say that this is going to be a very painful, but a very necessary step for people to wake up. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. Don't know if she's on the list or not, but I mean, people spending in excess of, a couple of $1,000s minimum to get decent tickets allegedly for Taylor Swift in Toronto. That's a lot of money that people are just giving away. And they're more than likely coming out having partaken in, shall we say, satanic ceremonies. But they don't know it because it's all been disguised as entertainment. So, and if Swift is in league with them, and I think that she is, but that's just my personal opinion. Take that however you will. But if Swift is in with that crowd, and if she is exposed, it's going to be incredibly traumatic for a lot of young girls, for a lot of, well, pretty much for her fan base, period. I've heard that as much as I can imagine how bad it is, it's worse than what I can imagine. So, but I at least have some preparation, kind of like with my father having just passed away. I mean, it was something I was expecting for the last 3 years, and doesn't mean I'm exactly pleased or happy with what's happened, but it is what it is. So, yeah, get ready, folks. This is going to be but the beginning of however many mental walls there are around us that we just don't know about until we actually have to do something about it and break ourselves free from the mental prison. So I will leave it at that. Back to you, Naroki.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, there's just a lot going on. Yeah, and like again, I didn't look into it too much, and yeah, I don't get. Yeah, no, it's just it doesn't like that whole like all of that deep state stuff. It's interesting, but it's not something that I'm at least currently interested in discussing. I mean, again, I'm more of a manosphere guy, and there is enough deep state shit going on with just the manosphere that I mean, I don't have to necessarily start getting into stuff like Sandy Hook and Bilderberger and all that stuff. There's lots of other people already covering that anyway. So anyway, but yeah, just very, very odd that a lot of these celebrities that are actually leaving the country over Trump, a lot of them have this rather curious either P. Diddy or Epstein thing. But with that, let's get into the next topic here.
It is pretty strange, though. You got to admit that, though.
Oh, yeah. It is. Absolutely. It is very, very unusual. And again, right, I mean, for me, it takes a preponderance of evidence. And I'm going to just go cite something that happened, you know, around Pizzagate and the pedo symbols there. And it's like, you saw the pedo symbols there around Pizzagate, and you saw all that stuff. And it's like, all right, it's very hard to fake that stuff, but a lot of that, especially, was coincidence. And then you saw the stuff with the Trudeau Foundation and them using the pedo symbol, and oh, that's just a coincidence. Oh, here's a very curious little thing that I noticed about Blue Sky. You want to know what their symbol is? It's a butterfly. Guess what one of the pedo symbols is? Either one of you say,
I'll say a butterfly.
A butterfly.
Yeah.
That tends to also be related or associated with MK Ultra as well, too.
Yeah, so that was the other one. And then, of course, you had
Mandela effect or Mandela effect.
And then, of course, you had the stuff with Wayfair once I actually started looking, and it's like, yeah, okay. And then, of course, you saw the stuff with Balenciaga, and it's like, oh, wow. Okay, now it's getting too close to a preponderance of evidence for me to just casually dismiss. And then, of course, the thing that actually pushed me over the top was the fact that the Nickelodeon symbol bore a rather striking resemblance to Epstein Island. And having that consistent record of them putting stuff in the background of situations, and you saw what was going on with Epstein, it's like, okay, you know what? There's probably something there. But anyway, let's get into the next topic here. So this next topic is, and we will be talking specifically this time about the media and how it's still struggling. Because, yeah, and this should come as absolutely no shock to anybody. But, yeah, CNN's ratings have also gone down in light of what is going on with with Trump winning the presidential race this time around. The only difference between CNN and MSNBC is that for whatever reason, CNN didn't get hit as hard. But then again, CNN has been slowly bleeding off support for a few years now, whereas MSNBC somehow miraculously kept its hold on it until after the election, and then they just kind of went off a cliff. Whereas CNN has been a slow fade as opposed to a hard cut with MSNBC. And also, CNN has, and this is both good and bad, right? Because it's like you see you see the personalities on CNN desperately trying to hold on, and they know that the network is slowly dying, and they know they keep coming out on the wrong end of issue after issue after issue after issue after issue. And of course, they threw themselves onto Team Harris for this election, and it backfired on them. Although, again, though, people were expecting it, and for whatever reason, CNN didn't push the narrative as hard as MSNBC did. And because they didn't push it as hard as MSNBC did, they didn't get hit as hard, but they did get hit. And allegedly what is going on here is that, I mean, while there are some personalities at CNN that continue to double down with the anti-Trump rhetoric, apparently there have been some people that have moved up to the ranks that have been seeing what the executives and the personalities have been doing at CNN for the past years, and they're starting to get into positions where they have some influence, and they're seeing all of the credibility that they've lost, and CNN is pulling a different tack than MSNBC, and apparently the leadership over at CNN has decided, they told their personalities, it's like, yeah, look, just ease up on the Trump rhetoric. You know, it's not like this time around that, you know, they're just going to be able to take free shots at Trump and Trump isn't going to do anything to them. It's very clear from how Trump has been acting and who he's been putting into various positions that he's not fucking around this time. You know, like he's not interested in trying to form a coalition with a bunch of far left. He's not interested in trying to reason with or come to an accommodation. Like, Trump is coming in with the big stick and he's gonna fucking use it. That's the impression that I'm getting from where I'm sitting. And CNN, I'm going to stop short of saying that they've wised up, but I think CNN has realized that they've hemorrhaged enough viewers and they've hemorrhaged enough credibility and they've hemorrhaged enough of their voting base and their revenue and whatever, that they finally got some people in there. And this, you're seeing this with a few companies now, where you're starting to see this, where they're like going, you know what, like, just ease off on the Trump rhetoric, you know. And I'm going to stop short of saying that CNN has seen the light, because I don't think they have seen the light. They're definitely not the news organization they were back in the early 90s, back during Gulf Storm or whatever, when they were actually doing news. But, you know, CNN is especially, I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to stay that way, because if Elon Musk does end up buying MSNBC, then the left is all the left is going to have left. Although, keep in mind, Fox, oh, here's a curious little detail. If Elon Musk buys Disney, then he automatically owns Fox by extension. So if Elon Musk buys MSNBC and he buys Disney, he controls half of the major cable media in the United States. That just suddenly hit me like a lightning bolt. CNN will be the only source, will be the only place left that can act as a pivot to them. And trust me, I've seen enough far right stuff. I've seen enough really just like fundamentalist Bible thumpers and whatnot sneaking in through the back door. And what V is talking about, it's like seeing white supremacists and anti-Semites sneaking through the back door. Yeah, they are sneaking through the back door with all of this stuff. That's the yin and the yang of both the right and the left. So yeah, I have to give nods to V about him for pointing that out. And I mean, I have noticed that too. But CNN will become literally the only network that will be acting as a stopgap against the right. And they will have to get their shit together. They will have to move away from propaganda. And, you know, they're aware of what's potentially going on with MSNBC, and they're going to have to, well, I mean, here's hoping that Trump just basically tosses out NDAA, which will force the networks to actually going back to reporting news in the first place. So, yeah, you're going to get, just by de facto, you're going to get a much more balanced and probably you're going to see a little bit of return of the old style news reporting that you used to see. Although, again, right, the Noam Chomsky corporate media, you know, like as much as we like to talk about Fox did some stuff back in the early 2000s, in particular around one issue around Monsanto, where they were just as guilty as MSNBC and CNN are now for the way they're behaving. You know, like I did see the documentary Outfoxed, right? So yeah, there is a Fox. Yeah, they don't exactly carry a lot of credibility with me either. So yeah, they're gonna need a network that's gonna kind of act as a counter pivot to what is potentially going on. So yeah, maybe the folks over at CNN have decided that they kind of need to get back to their roots. Time will tell with CNN, but yeah, in particular, if Musk ends up buying MSNBC, and especially if he buys Disney, that means that Elon Musk will de facto control both Fox and MSNBC. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
I think when it comes to CNN, their problems go back a long time ago because one thing, even when I was younger, I noticed this back when I was even in my 20s and stuff about CNN was that they always wanted to emulate the BBC. And you can see them do that stuff. And like even today, you see a lot of these media sources that are supposed to be freaking, you know, independent news groups that are also trying to emulate the way the BBC is. And they're claiming that they're independent and unbiased, but in reality, they're not. Sky News would be exactly the media outlet that I'm referring to, but you know, and then you also see what is that, the one independent something where a lot of people freaking fall for that shit too, and they think that they're actually unbiased outlet. But if you don't really do research into the politics and understand what's going on, you're never going to catch it. That they actually are biased, the media sources. The the thing about BBC or the CNN is they end up pushing. They end up pushing stuff that's just way like liberal. Yeah, I'm not even going to say it's liberal. It's more of a socialist agenda, you know, and that's the way that BBC was too. And everybody always, well, Mark actually is starting to catch on whenever I talk about England and how socialist England is, because me and him did an entire freaking 12 episodes this season on my show, where we took a look at freaking political history in England and focused on different aspects of their politics, and we pointed out the socialist parties, and I even learned a lot from it too, you know. But this is where all this shit stems from, you know. People freaking who aren't educated to what's been taking place there, and they don't understand that, won't recognize it when they see the stuff that's going on. And MSNBC, they are just straight 100% leftist. That's all they are. But the BBC is completely freaking socialist, in my opinion. And they have no problems with freaking admitting it either. It seems like they actually wear a banner of it whenever freaking it comes to that stuff. So for I don't know if we get something going to where freaking Elon Musk is buying off some stuff, you know, maybe CNN will be one of those things that he does decide to buy, because that's probably going to be a good thing for us. I don't think that they're going to give up on the whole Trump rhetoric. They're going to end up keeping it going. It's just something that's been going on, and these people know that they can get freaking publicity off of it, so they're going to continue doing it. I personally don't enjoy watching CNN. I think people should get more freaking caught up in shit like freaking the Corbett report and start checking out Sibel Edmond. You know, you wanna hear some pretty good stuff, go listen to them, and they'll tell you stuff that you've never heard before. They'll tell you stuff that they've actually researched and they know it's true. Don't mess around with a lot of this shit like Alex Jones and all that shit, like freaking the Prison Planet and, you know, Sandy Hook. I never really followed much of his shows when it came to all of that, because like you could tell freaking he was just completely off of his freaking rocker, you know. So, you know, use a little discernment, and when you listen to people, freaking listen to what they're saying. Don't freaking sit and listen to them because they're saying what you want to hear, you know. There's a lot of good information that you can find if you're looking in the right places. I know people freaking who are saying that television rots your brains. I'm actually freaking putting advertisements on my channel for Sonia Galactic about that shit, you know, and I don't agree with it whatsoever. I have no problem with watching TV. You know, it was made for the sole purpose of rotting your brain. That's the reason why you're supposed to watch it. It's not to freaking watch reality shows. Okay, if you want a reality show, take your ass out on the porch and freaking watch your neighbors. That's a reality. You know, it's not watching Dancing with the Stars. All this stuff today is like garbage. And that's the reason why TV was invented for freaking people to sell you shit and for entertainment. That's it, you know. as long as you understand that, you're okay. But just realize that's the only reason why they're there, and that's the news and the media as well. They're just there to sell you shit, you know, and that's all I got.
Well, I think that we've forgotten. Well, I didn't. I just couldn't remember the guy's name. Trump mega donor of Robert Malone is, back in 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago or so, give or take. He ended up buying enough of a big enough stake as an individual shareholder that apparently he's on the board of directors. Now, CNN, which is part of Warner Brothers Discovery stock, as far as I know, it hasn't been split up. He owns just over 19 million shares, which I think is about 2% of the company. I mean, it's not much, but it's a lot more than most people never have. Within the alts or the truther community, there's been a lot of speculation as to what's been happening with media. And take this however you will. But if this is true, things have been taken over, but the show has to run its normal course for people to basically start to wake up and walk away from this. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. As much as I would probably enjoy watching Gutfeld or whatever his name is on Fox, Fox is controlled opposition. I mean, and don't fucking get me started with the news in Canada, because they've been bought off since 2018. So they've all been compromised. And as I said before, recently enough, when it comes to Rebel News, I see Rebel News as being nothing but controlled opposition. I have said for quite a while, number of years, that Ezra Levant is, to me, nothing but he's an attention whore is what he is. And Rebel News, for lack of a better way to say it, in my opinion, feels like it's nothing but it's tabloid journalism. I mean, you talked about David Menzies being arrested again, or Ezra Levant was just arrested recently enough for going into the pro-Palestine protest and whatnot. And what Naroki had said is that he was probably just arrested briefly enough just to get him away from causing any more of a stir, but that's neither here nor there. But in a sense, this really is no different than what CNN has been doing, because, I mean, let's face it, CNN was the best free fucking advertising that Trump used in his favor back in 2016 to get elected. I mean, he didn't have to spend fucking money. All he had to do was say something crass, which is not that difficult for him to do. And CNN and every other Project Mockingbird outlet fucking ran with it. And it was one of those, you do realize that you're playing right into his hands, but that's, from that perspective, it will be evident. It just requires time to look back and see what happened. So for me, at least anyway, it's absolutely hilarious with what's happened with all of this. I mean, all things being equal, and as it's been said, is that CNN viewership has been dropping. I mean, the only reason why they're the most trusted news source, or the reason why they're all out there, is because they were able to get the contracts to have, at least in the States, and maybe perhaps in Canada as well too, I don't know. But the TVs that you would see in the airports were only playing CNN. And that's a pretty big indirect market to advertise to. And quite cunning. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. But now, especially with the election having had what, with the election results being what they are, even if it's not controlled by the white hats or whoever, the reality being that you can't keep bashing the president, or you can't keep bashing Trump, who will be president soon enough, and expect your viewer base to keep their eyeballs on you. And as I said, the media as it is on TV, or streaming for that matter, it's dying. I mean, you can have channels on YouTube or Rumble for that matter that can pretty much bring in on a daily or weekly basis probably more eyeballs than what CNN can do right now. So it only makes smart business sense to tell the more extreme branch within your organization that you have to tone it down. And who knows, maybe they're also connected to either Epstein and or Diddy. Wouldn't surprise me, but who knows? Can't say one way or the other. So, yeah, for me, that's just not surprising. It really isn't. And again, going back to what I said before about the Washington Post, Bezos owns that, or the New York Times, which is owned by Carlos Slim, who both have had a big vested interest against Trump. They did not openly support Kamala because they knew what was going to happen. Like, they could already read the tea leaves. So maybe with CNN, this is maybe a controlled demolition. I really don't know. I can't say. So won't say any more than that. So let's move on. Dun, dun, dun. There we go.
Come on.
There
we go.
Yep,
there I go. Yeah, it wouldn't unmute for whatever reason. Okay, so
that was a pretty good entrance. You did a good job there. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
that was awesome. You just come in screaming like a lion, like a wild boar in the forest, ready to charge. You were awesome, dude.
Thanks. I'm just waiting for there we go. All right. So the last topic, and it's a good thing we're getting close to the end of the show because I'm starting to fade out here. Again, this kind of ties in, which is why I put these two at the back end. What you're seeing with CNN, what you've been seeing, although the ratings for PBS haven't come out, I'm almost certain PBS has also been taking a serious hit as well. What you're seeing with CNN, what you're seeing with MSNBC, what you're seeing with a lot of the normal network news outlets, and what you're also seeing on, and we've covered this about the the woke YouTube streamers on Facebook, has happened on Twitch, except on Twitch, even more so than what's happened on MSNBC. Twitch streamers have taken massive woke Twitch streamers on on Twitch have just taken massive hits. Some of them are down 95% of what they were getting before. And it's, again, right, this is just me speculating here. What's going on is places like Twitch, and I'm going to have to assume that YouTube and although we don't know yet, but I mean, you're starting to see certain social networks. I think Zuckerberg maybe has already clued into this as well, which is why he didn't act, which is why I mean, I intentionally started a second. I started a second account on Facebook about a year ago, just to make sure, because I was anticipating that maybe Zuckerberg was going to shut down my Facebook account again for absolutely no reason, which is what happened before. Keep in mind that the Red Pill Nation on Facebook is actually about twice the size of the one that it was before, even though it's only existed for like about 4 years, as opposed to the other one that would existed, I'm guessing, like 6 or 7. Because the Red Pill Nation actually existed before I actually started doing the Red Pill Nation Hangout. Or at least that's what I recall. Yes, but it would turn out, I mean, for instance, Hasanabi, like literally at one point, and Hasanabi's an individual that I just cannot fucking stand. Hasanabi actually had a promotion, happily and willingly posted and played a terrorist recruitment video on his channel. You saw. Oh, I mean, I was talking about what Destiny. We talked about what Destiny was doing. Destiny. I don't know whether Destiny pretty much fucking everywhere, but yeah, Destiny has been caught, especially in the last couple of weeks, engaging in some pretty despicable stuff. David Pakman has been caught in lie after lie after lie after lie after lie, and also of a lot of the other woke streamers. And it's like, what's happened with Twitch is because HRC is having to back away from putting pressure on, because people know now that they don't have the majority of they're not the majority of the population. They're not nearly as powerful as they first appeared to be. A lot of corporations and whatever have started pulling revenue out of Twitch, and some of them were doing it because they were getting pressure from BlackRock or whatever. And that lack of revenue has trickled down to the woke content creators on Twitch. Can't say I'm overly surprised. They backed the wrong horse. They chose to engage in propaganda as opposed to news. I mean, at one point in time, I actually respected David Pakman as a person. Another guy who has really been hit pretty hard, apparently, is Sam Cedar. Like, there's a lot of streamers that won't even have Sam Cedar on the show. I remember Sam Cedar 10 years ago when he was doing the Majority Report. I keep waiting for the day when Sam Cedar just hits the wall and does something really stupid, but for some strange reason, he hasn't gotten quite around to doing that yet. But I mean, he's slowly, I think Sam Cedar might just be a slow fade, but he's also taken some hits financially. Vavouch was already done before before the election even started. I mean, it's just your viewership tends to go down when you get caught accidentally posting up kiddie porn while you're doing a show. Oh my God. So yeah, they're all losing their revenue. They're all going downhill. They're all going downhill fast. And this is I've stayed remarkably consistent for 7 years. It took and what Rearson was saying, it took us about 10 or 15 shows to get the style down properly, but we've stayed with that style since like 2017. And I mean, I have probably got, if you do 410 shows, you've probably gotten a thing or two wrong along the way. I can't specifically remember right now because my brain is turning to mush, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I've gotten some stuff wrong, but I just can't remember what those are right now. But I mean, like these guys just confidence, arrogance, is what they do, and they just post this stuff up like it's facts. And the people who follow individuals like Hasanabi and Vaush and all of those people are either too young, too stupid, or they want to, or indoctrinated, as AKA they want to be ignorant of the facts. Mm-hmm. And even that third crowd is going to stick behind Hasanabi in that crowd, irregardless of what happens. But those other two groups, though, if they find out that they've actually been lied to, or that people that they're following haven't been as straight up, as honest as they're going to be, that group is going to go away, which is exactly what's happened, right? So what you're seeing on the woke podcasters on Twitch is a huge portion of their population woke up and went, "What? This guy wasn't truthful. This guy was a fucking liar," right? And then they go, and once that line has been crossed, it just kind of creates a daisy chain where you start looking at everything else, and you start seeing it at all of these other places, and it's like, once a person realizes that you've been playing them for a fool, they don't take it very well. They leave, and they generally do not come back, which is exactly what is happening here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
All right, yeah. I freaking was. I was pretty tired of a lot of that shit back, I'd say about maybe a year or two after I started doing all this shit, because like it's something that's been in the whole freaking streaming industry for quite a long time. If you get like YouTube, for example, you know what I mean? If you go on YouTube and you say anything that freaking even goes against freaking what they disagree with, then freaking you automatically get freaking chastised for it by freaking being fined or getting warnings and shit like that. But that shit's been going on for quite a while. Not only do these platforms do that kind of shit, but then they have freaking these idiots that are freaking on the platform who freaking are sucking cock so that they can freaking keep getting views, and they don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves and their views. You'd think that people who were on these platforms would be like wanting to help the small guy freaking make it when it comes to creators, but that's not the way these people play their game. What they do is they turn on freaking people who don't have as much freaking have as many viewers as they do. And these are the people who are on these platforms that are freaking doing the streams. These aren't the people who freaking are working for YouTube or working for Twitch or working for Twitter. These are the actual people who are doing it. You would think that they would say, you know what, man, this guy freaking, I want to give him some support because I like what he does. You'd think that people who've been investing that much time into doing this stuff would actually do that, but they don't. Instead, they freaking want to freaking beat that dude down so that they can freaking get freaking more views. Because see, the big viewers, they lose if freaking somebody else succeeds. That means that their money drops down. So that's the way I've seen a lot of it. And that's what all of this comes down to. When I read that, that's the only thing that stuck in my head was revenues. It didn't have anything to do with content. It didn't have anything to do with freaking serious freaking issues when it comes to being a streamer and trying to get content. The only reason why I freaking do this live stream stuff with people is because freaking I actually want to find freaking good interviews and good stories. That's the reason why freaking I interviewed Naroki, was because he had a good story. Him and DDJ did, and freaking I even interviewed B, and I got, I think, Angel too. So one of these days I'm gonna have to get Rudin so that I can hear his crazy Canadian story, because I know it has something to do with bacon, because that's all his people in Canada ever think about is bacon. So
bacon is the gift of the gods, and we should all be thankful that God gave us bacon.
That's right.
And the Muslims don't know what the hell they're missing.
That's right.
God bless Tim Hortons too.
But when it comes to all this stuff, I mean, I don't just blame it on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. I blame it on the freaking people who have actually made something out of it. Like I've been doing this shit for at least 7 years, and I don't have any respect for most of the people that are doing it. I stick with people that I know, like you. I go to other people too on here, but not very many. It's not like I'm out trying to find the next freaking interview, you know what I mean, that I can go be a part of, or the next show. I just freaking hang out with people that I enjoy hanging out with, and that's how I do it. Most people that are in this business, that's all they care about. They care about the freaking revenue and the views, and that's all they care about. So that's all I got.
Okay, Bruceson, take us out.
With or without moving pegs, no problem. Well,
oh yeah, don't forget, you take us out with the new 2025 Jaguar Uranus, free with MAGA spur generator to power the electric vehicle, and of course all of the attachments for the ladies. Continue.
Or the guys, if they're really into that. Just
Think about it. Think about it. Slow down and think it through. You know what guys you're talking about, dude.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it.
Just putting it out there.
And well, and speaking of all of that, I mean, not that I've ever watched very much on Twitch. Actually, I don't have anything to do with Twitch to begin with anyway. I mean, that started off as a gaming streaming service, if I remember correctly. But at the end of the day, it's still social media, and I suppose, given the level of fuckery that's been going on with the woke, well, not the wokesters, but the OF chicks that are using like those platforms to begin with to try to get more eyeballs to their accounts. I'm sure that's part of what's going on here. But I mean, I guess the best way to say it, at least in terms of America, is the common sense revolution has really started to kick off. And I'm hoping that people are starting to look at their screen time and start to wonder, is this person really worth the trouble for me to watch? And if things are going the direction if this direction things are going, then that's going to start to become a resounding fuck no. So dropping 95% in some cases. Unfortunately, I had to go to the bathroom when you were talking about all of this, so I didn't hear what you had to say about that. That's perfectly fine.
You couldn't hold it anymore because we've been talking about the Jaguar Uranus for the whole entire show. Okay.
I'm not the one who seems to have an ass fetish here, but that's just me. But what do I know?
I mean, I did write a script about freaking, aliens and doing anal probes. I mean, I don't think anybody else can say that. I did.
Well, all I'm going to say is with the attachments, you can have two attachments running at the same time, ladies. If you really want to, they go in unison or alternating. Up to you. Not my thing. Anyway, but no, given right now what seems to be this, probably is going to be the beginning of the backlash of anything that's woke or leftist. I mean, we've had enough of it being in the movies or on TV. There's been enough of it with, I'm sure, music as well too, that people are pushing back now. And I guess one way to think of it is that the good old days are going to be gone for the way that things used to be. So, which will be good. And for anybody that is savvy enough that has lost their income, if they're able to pivot on this and turn it around somehow and to become profitable again, great. Hopefully that means that they're going to be genuine, whatever the content is going to be, because I think at this point, if someone was to really turn around on a dime or try to turn around on a dime, and they've been, well, it's like what we've been saying about Lauren Southern, for example. I mean, the woman's a grifter. So I don't have a high opinion of the woman. That's all I'm going to say. That's honestly all that I'm going to say. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know what to say at this point, nor do I really care as to what does or doesn't happen with their income. Because, again, I don't participate on Twitch. I only read things on X only because it's on a channel that I'm following in Telegram. And even then, I don't look at most of those posts anyway because I just want to see what's right there. I don't want to actually move to another screen, move to another platform and to take a look at it, even if it's only for, say, like it's a 15-second read. Not that I'm saying that I have the attention span of a goldfish. I just don't want to be bothered. I really don't. So for me, at the end of the day, fuck, whatever. Good for them. There won't be any pity parties from me or tears of compassion for their revenue loss, because Lord knows if I was to lose my job and I was known for being a conservative or a Trump supporter or whatever, and they'd be pissing on me, or they'd be saying whatever to disparage me. I'm just going to, as a blanket statement to all of them, you guys can go fuck yourself and wake the fuck up. So, and that's all they got. I am done.
All right, folks, we are done for this show, which is good because I'm really seriously starting to fade out here.
I couldn't believe freaking it took this long.
Well, we went an hour on the first part, and it's like, that I kind of had which is why I put it in the first part, because it was just, I knew because it involved Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons that me and Rearson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I'm the same way. I ran my mouth too, remember? You lost your mic. You there?
Anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to, Rookie, something might have happened with your mic. I don't know, but folks, for Naroki's sake, like, subscribe, follow him on Patreon, Twitter, where the fuck else he is.
He's everywhere. There he is. I see him.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there. All of a sudden, it just, like, the computer just died on me.
We got you. We were on top of it. You went silent, and freaking we started talking for you to cover the space, so you're good. So finish up what you had to say.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we got all sentimental about Paxburg and everything, and that's about it. I have to check out something that just went. The computer just suddenly. Actually, it's not just one; it's both of them. The other one just went too, which is really weird.
Check your plugins.
Okay, no, that one's working.
And make sure freaking that you have no issues with freaking your power sources and shit.
Okay, I'm going to go check something out here. But anyway, thanks for listening tonight. I will